So we just fixed that little issue that we had there. I think you would have had some difficulty hearing me. Can you hear me now? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Marcia Weeks, and you are watching the Marcia Weeks Show. We're coming to you live from Barbados. And today is a great day. Today we're talking about people power. We are talking about 246 people power. People power in the house, guys. Yes, yes, yes. You're hearing me now. And I can see 151 of you. You are all up, on, and ready. I am seeing here, Gelbiz is on. Yes, Gelbiz is on. I'm seeing Ramim is on. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, good night. And I'm trying to find the first person on was Rose. Rose has been on. Oh my goodness. Rose signed into this from 8:42 a.m. All right. she clicked from 8:42 a.m. Rose was saying, listen, nobody's gonna be before me tonight. Rose, born again. Good evening. Good evening. From 9:13 a.m. Cecilia Miller. Good evening. 10:21 a.m. Henderson Bancroft. Oh my Lord. 2:29 p.m. ADG, happy Easter to all from what time was that? 4:04. Marvin Aline. Good evening. 5:47. Remim, I love to read what Remim says. Blessed Resurrection Day, loyal, patriotic opposition. We must push forward to revive Barbados from the ashes. Operation Rescue and Restore BIM. BIM must step into high gear. All hands, opposition, fall in line. Yes, I haven't said that in a long time. Opposition, and you say fall in line. Oh my goodness. Good to see you, Emerson Bab. Good night, loyal opposition. Loyal daughter 66. How are you doing? Keep the pressure on. We need these dishonest miscreants out of office. Changes here. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Yes, it will. Cynthia Mon, good night. Good night. Victoria's Queen, good night. Nigel Carrington, good night. Oh, wonderful. Welcome. Total Niceness, good night. Rhonda Paris, good night. Gelbiz, good night. Good night, Gasbill. Good night, Marcia. Good night, Fabian Yard. Good night, Joseph Cadogan. Good night, CG. Good night. Good night, people. Tonight is all about 246 people power. It is a people power that we saw exhibited in St. James. When Digicel had that tower there, and the people in St. James rose up and said, not on over my dead or living body. That tower is going to stay there. And my Bajan people stood up with Samsung power. This 246 power is Samsung power, you know. And that's the power we're connecting with tonight. That's the bossa. That bossa power. That is what we're connecting with tonight, you know. Yes, man. Clive Osborne, how you doing? Blessed good night to all the loyal sons and daughters of this great opposition. We will stay awake and stay vigilant as watchmen and women of our island. Correct. You got that right, Clive. Annette Powers, good night. Jefferson Sobers, good night. Now, tonight's show, as I told you, it's all about people power. We are understanding what our power is. And what I want you to do, guys, use your people power. Use that power tonight. And I want you to share this link. I want you to share the link. All right? And call Bajans together because we've got matters to discuss. The council we've got to come together. We have issues to discuss. We have issues about Joe's River to discuss. People St. Joseph. I don't care if you were not born in St. Joseph or you have never been to Joe's River. This is part of you remember the part of the anthem that said these fields and hills? It's about the land and it's about the rivers and it's about everything that belongs to us in here. Yes, we've suffered enough. Yeah, and these fields and hills beyond recall. And I know Theory is on. He's a student at UWE. Theory, good night. And Theory loves that part of the anthem, and I love it too. I love the anthem, period. We're going to play that in a couple minutes. But let me just continue to welcome everybody. James Harding, Simone Daniel, FX Trading. Oh, my Lord. I'm so happy to see you all. It feels like we're in the same room together. Sir Alfred Benjamin from New York City, Brooklyn. Yeah, man. Let me tell you, there's so many Bajans. There are probably more Bajans living in Brooklyn than in Barbados. No, I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating. Sandra Franklin, good night. Good night, Patriots. I am on board. Yes. Yes, the 246. Sandra feeling the 246 people power that's coming at you tonight. That's what's coming at you. We ready. This is Peachway 36. Is on as well. Tyrone Nurse is on. Hi, Tyrone. Wonderful. Theory Gittins. We fix that issue, Theory Gittins. We feel the issue of no sound. Wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Judith and Clark. Good night, Judith and Clark. Sandra Carter. Good night. Michael Bourne. Good night. Listen. I'm trusting you guys had some great family time today, and we are ready. We are ready to fight tonight. Our anthem is going to come on, which is our theme song. Yeah, it's our theme song. That's what we live by. It's all about Barbados. If it's not 246, then what is it? 246 people power. You feeling that tonight? Yeah, that's what we're feeling. Though, as I said before, it is that people power. That people power. That St. James, the people, the residents there in St. James, what they displayed. That's what's going to be necessary tonight. And so good night to everybody. You know, I can't mention everybody, but it's good to see St. Jess and Beverly Brown and Cheryl Thompson. You know, I love to call everybody's name, but I got to go to the anthem now. All right. We have to go to the anthem. Make sure that you are sharing. Make sure you are liking. The algorithm respects those likes, okay? So make sure you're liking, all right? So we are getting ready, guys, because we are going to go straight to our anthem. That's our marching order right there. That's what we live by. Yes, the anthem of this beautiful country that we're blessed to be part of, that our forefathers fought for, huh? This is what the forefathers, the ancestors fought for, and that's what we are fighting for. Okay. So we're getting ready to get our anthem up and going. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you to make sure that you are liking and sharing. Ask yourself, did I share the link yet? Make sure you share. Okay. All right.
Oh
Listen, strict guardians, strict guardians, strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our faith. Did you hear that? Strict guardians of our heritage. And tonight, in a few moments, I am going to introduce you to some guardians of our heritage. There are some people in Barbados, you know, people, when I just moved here, people talked about how Bajans are passive. I want to introduce you to some people tonight who are not passive at all. They are strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our faith. That's who you're going to see on the program tonight as we speak about Joe's River. And one of those gentlemen, he's not in St. Joseph, but he doesn't know I'm going to quote from it. It's Mr. Nigel Newton. And I've asked him to be on the show tonight. You will see him a little later. And he has a document here that he has given me to read. And I'm telling you, I wish this could be literature for every Barbadian to read. And it's the objection to Republican status that he, for November 30th, 2021, by Nigel Newton, the People's Defender. And there is a quote that I want to read from this great document that I personally think, I wish there was a way that we could study this document. He says, "We the people must never fail to inform the political class that there is a limit to power and that we the people will hold them accountable and remove them as necessary." This is a quote from Nigel C. Newton. Let me read that again. "We the people must never fail to inform the political class that there is a limit to power and that we the people will hold them accountable and remove them as necessary." Do you all believe that? Do you all believe that? Tonight I said we are talking about people power. 246 people power. Yes, somebody is catching it and has it there. The 246 people power. All right. We are up to 640 persons. I hope you're sharing. I hope you're sharing. I'm just going to give you a minute or two more to share because the people that are coming on here are so, just so powerful. And I want to make sure that you listen to them. They are strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our faith. Okay. Now, we have, I hope it's ready. I want to show you just a little bit on what is happening in Jamaica. Now, most of you know that I was born in Jamaica. And I think at this stage, I've lived longer in Barbados than I've lived in Jamaica. And what's happening in Jamaica is what I do not want to happen in Barbados. In Jamaica, there are some public spaces, including beaches, that Jamaicans have to pay to access. I want you to listen to me from my heart, Barbadians. I come to you tonight with no agenda, but to seek to be a strict guardian of the heritage of this country. Jamaica is trying to roll back something that started there, where what's happening in Jamaica is that a lot of the beaches, we can't access them because of development. In the name of development, now they're trying to roll it back. I have no doubt that they will get it to happen, but we don't want to get there. And so I'm going to let you listen to just a little bit. We just have a few minutes before our guests join us. Go ahead, please.
We should be able to use our beaches. We are a beach community. We are beach people. We're a small island surrounded by water.
Jamaicans can no longer access their own beaches.
This is where they work. Say they don't have a other job. They don't have nothing else to turn to.
Tourists can pay for exclusive access to beaches at all-inclusive resorts, but everyday Jamaicans are increasingly being blocked out of them.
When you push a fisherman from a beach, where did you want him to go? We are living in between waters, and we have no access to a beach.
Some Jamaicans are organizing to take down the colonial-era land laws that still affect them today.
Jamaican came into emancipation landless and homeless, and that problem have not changed in Jamaica.
And they're suing companies for cutting off their access to the beaches.
And we also will not stop until the entire Jamaican public is able to access the beach freely. Tourists get beach, rich people get beach. When all come up by, we have to buy access to the beach. That can't continue.
This is Steertown, a historic fishing community on the north coast of Jamaica. Local residents relied on the beach for their livelihood. But in 2020, two companies bought the land containing the pathways leading to Mama Bay Beach.
Discrimination, apartheid thing, we're tired of that. That must end.
The owners built a cement wall along the property, effectively cutting off surrounding communities from the coast. Lifelong fisherman Norris Arscott lives up the hill in one of these communities. Both his father and grandfather before him worked as fishermen at the same beach that he did.
All right, that's the hotel here, and the beach is just right beside the hotel there. It doesn't take me more than like 8-10 minutes from here to the beach. Now they push you off there. I had to do 10 miles each morning to do my fishing work.
To access the new fishing beach, Norris is forced to buy.
Yeah. I think that's enough as we go through. If we believe that we want to show some more of that, we will do so. But tonight I have with us tonight Mr. Victor Lewis, and Mr. Victor Lewis is a resident of St. Joseph, Barbados. He is a social activist. He's retired, and he's a hiker. I won't tell you how old he is. He will have to tell you that himself. But I tell you, this man does not look his age. He hikes every Sunday morning at 5 o'clock. And my husband is making some arrangement to go with him. I have my own hike master. I don't know if I can manage with Mr. Victor Lewis. And my hike master, Matthew, is coming up. So I love my hike master. But Mr. Victor Lewis is a hiker. And as I said, a social activist, and one who I am calling a strict guardian of our heritage, a line that I'm taking out of the anthem of Barbados. Welcome, Mr. Lewis, to the Marcia Week Show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on the show. It is a wonderful thing to be here. And certainly you think you would have spoken relative to the whole anthem of Barbados, but when I looked at that picture just now, it just sent me back to Allen School. And that is the school I would have spent 28 years at, just looking out at the beach. And, during the course of my time there, on Tuesday evenings, I would have been actively involved in terms of extracurricular activities, hiking and fishing. So all of my core subjects, just took a backseat there and then. And I would have found myself on the beaches of the East Coast and in the rivers at Joe's River.
Wow! So you have been traversing that Joe's River and all of the natural setting there for quite some time.
Well, of course, I'm also a member of the Ufakuzo running group, and practically I would have ran all the roads in Barbados already. So at 67, I feel quite happy about that.
Can you repeat the age again? What's your age?
I am 67 years.
67 years old. And when
yes,
you see this man, I am telling you, he looked fit as a fiddle. He looked fit as a fiddle.
To God be the glory.
Let me tell you, people, I went down to St. Joseph today went down to Joe's River today. And I had to be trying to keep up, me and my husband. He had us going. I tell you, no man. Somebody said that's my family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, sir, I would like for you to talk to Barbados from your heart, sir. Why did you get involved in this activism concerning Joe's River? Can you take us from the beginning? Take us in chronological order. What happened?
Well, let me just give a backdrop, because I was trained with Youth and Community Development Department over the course of the years past. The
Let me
last course
just
I
check
would have
your
done.
audio to see if is he loud enough? Can everybody hear him? Just let me, because I don't want anybody to miss anything, and I just want to double check. We checked. I know before we started. Yes, he's great. Yes, go
Yeah,
ahead, sir.
so I thought I would have done quite a lot of work with the Youth and Community Development Department, of Barbados over the years. The last course he would have done is a diploma at the University of the West Indies in Trinidad. So, that's also part of my background. But when you want to talk specifically to what is happening in St. Joseph, that is not something, given my backdrop, given my training, that I could just would have sat back and allowed to happen. Of course, I frequent the beach. That's an area that I enjoy. It's part of my life, 24/7. So on that day in question, I was leaving the area of Powell Spring in the Bashiville area, and I went over to the George River area as normal to say I'm going to go and catch some crabs and see if I can go and catch a crab cavali. So when I got to the area there, I saw the activity going, and I, clearly, technical education that's my field, that's my specialty. So when I would have seen the construction going on, I clearly could have observed that something that is happening here does not appear correct. What appears to be happening is that these individuals are building walls to block us out from entering the area of Joseph. So I question, the individuals in the area at that particular point in time. I don't want to be too specific in terms of, identifying as the case may be. But what was said to me is that what is happening here is against our conscience. We have to do this. But at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be paid a dollar bill to do it. I know I'm going to get my salary in the end, but it is against my conscience to do it. He said, in addition to that, what was said to us is that if the folks from around the area knock the walls down, build them back up. I said, well, um, this can't be right. So at the same time, I put down my fishing lines. I tell them, well, you hold on, take it easy. You hold on. So I left from there back home, took up my phone. Of course, the camera's on it, did a video, and here we are today, several videos after. Well, I would have heard Heather spoke on the show not too long ago, and I was doing a bit of research in this particular dimension relative to the activities at George River, and I saw a video that says 1 year ago, and I said, "Boy, Victor, 1 year ago, this happened, and still we're at this stage in 2024." I think it is very unfortunate. I
Mhm.
mean, 1 year has passed, but I will want to arrive at where we are at this particular point in time, because the primary focus of my presence here is to bring you up to scratch, to bring you up to
Yes.
date as to where we're at with this Georgia project. Recent documents sent to me by Mr. Nichols, Mr. Gregory Nichols, who's the lawyer representing. And of course, you would have heard relative to the whole idea of the injunction and the stopping of work, as would have been shown there just now in the pic.
But before
Mhm.
you go on to the letter to from your lawyer, Can you talk to us about the injunction? Because I don't think that a lot of us in Barbados understand or, understood that there was an injunction. Can you take us through that process of what
Yeah.
happened, sir?
There was a photo there just now showing the area of the bridge. All right, that photo, correct. The injunction brought stopped all activity relative to this aspect of the project. Now, as far as my understanding carries me, the project entails the renovation of the old Edgewater building, and this other dimension of the project, to me, caught me off guard. It caught many individuals off guard because it's hard to believe that a project of this magnitude,
Yeah.
affecting us, could have been done without social impact studies or environmental impact studies. This one, technically speaking, caught us off guard. It caught me with my pants down when I saw what was happening there. And I know it would have affected me. It would have affected hikers. It would have affected students from Allen School, from St. Elizabeth Primary, hikers. I mean, the whole gamut.
Yeah. So you were part of that team that sought an injunction and got this work to stop. And we want to commend you and the team that worked with you on this, because I think that is awesome, Barbados. And that's what I call the 246 people power. So I didn't want him to skip over that. So continue now, sir.
Well, of recent, I would have received some documents from, Mr. Gregory Nichols relative to the last proposal, because there were many proposals. When I looked through the documents, I responded to him and said that I do not agree with the current proposal. And this is for two main reasons, of which I would want to elaborate on. When I looked at the document, and I don't know if you can bring it up, showing the plan for the development of the area in terms of where the wellness house, etc., would be. On that particular document, there is a section there called Established Pathway. If you can just zoom it out a bit. There's a section there called Established Pathway. When I looked at that document, it really baffled my mind to know that all over the years that we use Joe's River, the pathway shown on that document as the established pathway. Established meaning what we have been using, what you and I, all bridgers and visitors, would have been using all over the years. What's shown in that document is incorrect. The document is either fictitious or conveniently designed to deceive us. So when you look at that document, and you see there on the top right, just before the actual sign there showing the direction in terms of north, south, east, and west, you will see that area there saying established pathway. You can just bring your mouse down on the right, and you will see this sign there showing established pathway. That is wrong. I don't know. I know that the Attorney General, his specialty is in law. I know that Mr. Nichols, his specialty is also in law. So they may not be so well versed. They may not be so well versed in terms of analyzing a document such as that. But that area that shows currently established pathway is totally incorrect. How could I identify with a document such as that when I know it is wrong? Because our established pathway took us under the bridge as shown by the arrow, and we entered into the gully from the landward side of the bridge and not the seaward side. I don't know how Mr. Nichols or Mr. Marshall could look at that document and expect me to approve it. It is wrong. Now, if you would look closer at the document, the portion there shown in red, that portion of the document shows what is intended to be our pathway. That pathway leads to Teacup and Saucer, and it also intends to put us out to the George River Gully at the end of the river by the sea. Now, if I'm going hiking, what calling I got down at the end of the river, down by the sea, and my intention is to go up through the gully. Now, what even makes it worse, and what bothers me to some extent, is that Mr. Marshall sat with us. Mr. Marshall, our constituency representative, sat with us and agreed that no one should be walking across those boulders to enter into the George River Gully. He said, it is dangerous, it is wrong, don't do it. But Mr. Marshall then tell me, when we use that path and we end up at the bottom of the George River Gully, how are we going to get back to the landward side of the bridge? That's the side that we have used from time immemorial because it is safe. We established that because it is safe. And as we would have said as a group over the course of time, that our focus is for free and safe access, not only to George River Gully, but also to Teacup and Saucer. It must not only be accessible, but it must be safe. So how in the world you know that it is unsafe to travel across the borders, and yet you're asking us to do it? I mean, when you're coming from the area at the mouth of the gully and you're traveling upstream, you have to pass under the bridge. There are no other options. There are boulders to the left. That's the same boulders that Mr. Marshall spoke about. And then there are boulders to the right. And in the middle is a hole called Judy Hole, where a lady drowned. What calling I have to ask anyone to be using that path when I know borders on the left, borders on the right? Walking across those borders is dangerous. Walking through Judy Hole, of course, that is suicidal. Maybe now you may go down there during this period of time, during the dry season, and you may only see, you know, a few holes of water. But when you know that the rainy season comes in, and just after the rainy season, you have water gushing through under the bridge. So you can't pass through there, neither cross the rocks, or borders on the left, or borders on the right, or through Judy Hole. So tell me, when individuals go to hike, how are they going to get safely from the lower section, as the drawing shows, up to the river? Mr. Marshall, he knows within himself that this proposal is an injustice to the people of Barbados, not just to St. Joseph. There are many hikers from all over the island that come and enjoy that. There are many visitors that comes to our country and enjoy that. Tell me, are we making something that is safe for the people that will use it? When we know, when Marshall himself, I don't know if he hikes, but I've never seen it. I don't know if Mr. Nichols hikes, but I've never seen him. Tell me, when individuals go there, can they safely access the river mouth at the point of entrance where we know that it is safe? Our established point of entry was on the landward side of the bridge, not the seaward side. And we did that because it is safe. And we've established that as a people all over the years. I don't know how come all of a sudden, Mr. Marshall would think that this proposal is one that Victor should accept and allow to flow. But the outcome of this has nothing to do with Victor Lewis. This has something to do with the people of Barbados. People that we have to set a platform where they can safely mobilize all of these divisions of leisure activities. And let me go to Teacup and Saucer. And this is where I would want to talk about the injunction. Because when you go to Teacup and Saucer, and I believe that the injunction, because I asked for the injunction so I can read it to have an understanding as to what it is saying. Up until now, no injunction. I mean, that's not surprising. Because when I said I do not support this proposal, Gregory said, Victor, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you are explaining to us, what you're explaining to me, sorry. So what I'll do, I will meet you on site. And that was about 2 or 3 Sundays ago. All like now, I'm still waiting for our attorney, Gregory Nichols, to arrive at Joe's River. He said, Victor, I'll meet you there at 3 o'clock. I'm still waiting on Mr. Nichols to explain to him why this proposal I do not accept.
But you know, let me just jump in here to ask, because you started off by saying that your attorney is Mr. Gregory Nichols.
Correct.
And he had been working with you for a while, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I mean, of course, when you look at it now, you see it is a year, a long time.
Yes.
And we're still at square one.
Yes, and you're saying that he was supposed to meet you because you had some concerns about what the proposal that was being made by the developer, and he has not turned up.
Mr. Nichols said, Victor, I don't understand what you're explaining to me on the phone. So what I'll do, I'll meet with you on site on Sunday at 3 o'clock. I am still waiting on Mr. Nichols. I called him from there. Christopher Oliver, the joint person with me for the injunction, also called him from there. I don't know if he returned the call afterwards to Oliver, but he didn't answer that call from Mr. Oliver on site. He didn't answer my call from me on site. And up until now, I haven't heard from Mr. Nichols with respect to that visit that we were supposed to have, to explain, where I can explain to him what is wrong with the proposal. May I go on to Teacup and Saucer?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. Beautiful.
Now, for those who would have seen Teacup and Saucer, there it is. And I don't know if a picture would have been taken relative to, you know, what transpired at Teacup and Saucer in terms of the cutting of the pathway. But if you go to the Powell Spring area and take a view westward, you will see a path cut from that area there, at that point, to Cup and Saucer. And it is shown there on the plan that the proposal is that they will cut a path for us from the Cup and Saucer, which you can see shown on the plan, very steep. You can understand the word saying very steep, and you can build a stairs going down from the Cup and Saucer, vertical. The pathway is cut vertical. Now, to begin with, if I may backtrack a bit, when this injunction was given, I am assuming, and maybe Mr. Nichols can come in and give some clarity on it at his own time, but I'm assuming that the injunction was given to stop activity relative to the access to Teacup and Saucer and the Joes River Gully. So I think it was very interesting that someone can go and breach the injunction by cutting a path through the great trees down to music. And don't talk about music. Music is the most dangerous beach that you could ever think of in the area of Bathsheba. Don't trust it. And the recommendation here is that a stairs will be built on an area that is very steep, where there is much rise and little run, where it is very tall and little distance to go out. So you call that a breakneck step. Individuals may get away with it if you're going to wind here and wind there. You know, when you're coming up the hill and the truck is working too well, you wind to the left and you wind to the right and you wind them and you make it. But you can't wind in there. That is total breakneck to begin with.
Wow.
Number one, when you look at where they intend to put us in the area of music, in 2009, I, along with Terry Eiffel, we were recipients from the Governor General for a bravery medal because we saved a couple from drowning in that same area. In that same area, yes.
Let me see if we can find a picture because I know we went there today with Mr. Lewis because I wanted to see it for myself so that I have a proper understanding of what this gentleman is saying to us tonight.
Whatever you
see, you know, is it reasonable what the developers are asking versus what the citizens want? You know, I wanted to see for myself, and let me tell you, it is quite treacherous to where they want these stairs to be put and the drop. You know, so let me see if I think we should have a picture.
Oh yes, that's it. Look at it. Look how steep that is. And you know, the proposal is, you know, that we will build steps for Bajans to go down to that point. Now going down the steps, that's suicide to begin with. When you reach the bottom, you know, it burns my heart that I would like to take up my bravery medal, go and knock at the gates of the president, no longer Governor General, and give her back the medal. I don't need that. If the NCC can approve for this construction to take place, putting people into harm's way by allowing them to frequent an area which we know all over the years is the most dangerous place in Bathsheba. Don't go there. How could you do that? How could we make a recommendation that you're going to be asking individuals to frequent music, the most dangerous beach you could ever think of? It takes you up and takes you where? It's all over. Hello, goodbye.
Wow.
You know, so Terry went to Allen School. And we still live under the motto. And let me commend, Brother Ronnie Ewart for identifying with it. At least non-city, for others not self. We could not just sit back and see people drowning and accept it when we know we could have handled the waters. And we handled it and brought them to shore. Medals mean nothing. We saved a life. We saved lives. To God be the glory. Let's move on. But when you're going to go and come and set up an environment to put people into harm's way, how can I approve a project such as that? It is wrong. It's an injustice to the people of Barbados and must not be accepted by us.
Wow. This is so you're saying I didn't even know when I was there today that you and another person had to save somebody, a couple that was almost drowned
Yes.
in the area that these developers are asking us to we would to use to access Joe's River.
Yeah, these individuals were here on their honeymoon. I mean, of all things, your honeymoon and you're gonna drown together, and they had our praises for us. But have mercy. How could you see things like that happening? You know of the area and still would look at a proposal such as that and expect Victor Lewis of all people to accept it? No, it is wrong.
Wow, this is powerful. I want to. I have Matthew Holder, who is Hype Master. He's going to come up in a few minutes, and I just want to read some of what the comments are here. Oh my Lord! And people are in shock. People are in shock. Mr. Lewis, people are in shock as they are right. People are saying, "Wake up, Barbados!" And this is why the reason we're doing this show, as I said, is so that we Barbadians, we're not working backwards. We're not in the position that Jamaica is in now, and where they are now. They are now trying to get back access to some of these public spaces that they're custom. It's custom for them to use. Because of development, those areas are taken over, and they have to pay. You understand? They have to pay to use some of these areas. Okay, let's just hear before we go on. Let's hear Sir Roy Trotman. Let me see if our technical person could bring up Sir Roy Trotman. And let's just hear his views on this whole thing here. I believe we have a clip from him.
Of course we love visitors.
And then
of course we want to do business with them. But we don't love visitors to take advantage of our patrimony. We love them, but we don't love them to kick us about. And that message has to be clear. Arguing that it's all right because some people will get work. I imagine they mean that we will find some jobs for some people to do gardening. If we are going back to judging the success of our people, judging the success of our Mashiba people, purely on whether we are able to get a job as a gardener or to get a job as a maid, then in fact we have achieved nothing. The train line is government land because government wasn't going to build a train line to run from Belle Plaine to Bridgetown and come back, doing that on somebody else's land. It is the land, the property of the government of Barbados on behalf of the people of Barbados.
That's Sir Roy. I said Morris, isn't it? What's the surname? It escapes me at the moment. Can you? Roy Trotman, Sir Roy Trotman. who went in that initial, and so you had invited him, Mr. Lewis, to
Yes,
see.
ma'am. I would have gone to Saroy, and I know that Saroy lived in the Hillsborough area all over the years. You know, he was being a very active part and really identified with all the activities in the area of St. Joseph. You know, he was a very active individual involved in the trade union movement, and he willingly accepted to be present with us and to give us advice, you know, in this particular direction. A wonderful man.
Yes, that's wonderful. Let me just bring into the studio Mr. Matthew Holder. And Matthew Holder, when I see Mr. Holder, I have to smile, but I will tell you why I'm smiling. Mr. Holder, I'll tell you after I introduce him. He's an entrepreneur, and he is a hike master, a master to me, a master of masters. Okay, when you want to go hiking, especially if you're a beginner, you really need to go with Mr. Holder, right? I will tell you, my first hike was with Mr. Matthew Holder, and it was to Joe's River. And let me tell you, I mean, I was all excited. I was ready to go, you know, Mr. Lewis. I was ready to go. And I tell you, halfway into the thing, I wanted to turn back. I was so tired. But I found it was very invigorating. I love the rush, the hearing the water, right? And Mr. Holder and his lovely wife, and I can't remember her name right now, but they helped me so much on the trip. Matthew is very strong, I can tell you. He was getting us over, you know, and we were trying. At first, we were trying not to get wet, trying to walk on the stones. Eventually, we gave up. And at one time, people, oh Lord, can I tell them, Matthew? At one time, they
Sure.
looked around and they did not see me. I was down in the water. I felt like I had a baptism. And I looked up and let me tell you, I saw people when I got back up and Matthew got me and pulled me up. I saw everybody was like, oh, and then they started laughing at me. You know, we had fun. We had quite a lot of fun. We had cookout. We've been there, and it's after the hikes, and it's really invigorating. And I loved it. I love hiking, and Joe's River is honestly, guys, it's one of it's my favorite hike of all of them. We've been to Monkey Jump and all of these other crazy ones, but I love, love, love Joe's River. So that's me introducing Mr. Matthew Holder there. Okay, Mr. Holder, welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hi, good night. Hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. Right, good. Good night to one, good night to all. Good night, Victor. It's good to see you. Matthew Holder, as was said, I was given the title Hike Master. I did not give that to myself, but I accept it myself. The whole Joe's River contention is really a heartbreaking thing for me. I can say from a youngster, I used to go in the gully with all the guys in the neighborhood, my brothers and that kind of stuff, fishing. And then I came to the point where I could do it myself, and I went on my own. And then, I was telling someone something very recent, that there's something now that I call parkour. And that is a kind of a invigorating, a lot of movement, exercising, jumping, doing whole lot of stuff. And I think that that parkour thing, people coming up with it, they're pretty late with that, because I used to do that in the gully. I did that from Gagsill, Victor. You would know.
Yes.
I did that from Gagsill to Bathsheba. Where you run, and it is a non-stop running, and you are jumping from rock to rock and just running down through the gully. So it is nothing new, people coin terms and that kind of stuff, but parkour was going on a long time with the fellas that would run through the gully. So it's a place that is near and dear to my heart, and I would say to our hearts. I've seen videos on that gully from visitors, and they were really, buoyed up about the beauty of the gully, the landscape, everything about it is just unique. And this fight, I would say that I have never really started a fight in my life. And here tonight, I have not started this one either. I think Victor's the man that started this fight. But I can honestly say that I have joined the fight because I think it is a worthwhile fight. And it is not about self. It is not that you're fighting to take someone's property. You're not fighting for people to spend thousands, millions, whatever of dollars to give you something. All that I would say that we are asking for is access and permission. Two things. Yes, it is private property, as Sarai just said there, and this is what I had always known, that path right across, which is the old train line, I have always understood that to be government property. That's where the train ran. And I had heard from a historian, I think it is Trevor Marshall or Dr. Henderson Carter. One of the two of them said that Teacup and Saucer, I don't know if you know this, Victor, they said Teacup and Saucer was the place where the people would wait for the train, or the conductor or something would be waiting for the people. That's where the people stayed until the train came. I never knew that. I knew Teacup and Saucer there, for all this time.
Well, it's a beautiful vantage point, so I would like to assume, that makes sense.
Listen, it is the most breathtaking thing that you can see early in the morning. You know what it is to go there and see the sun rising? I was just sent a note here saying that over 1,000 people are viewing this thing, Marcia.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, right? If that 1,000 people can find their way to Teacup and Saucer on the 29th or the 30th, the Monday, I don't have it in my head right now, but the Monday, which is the holiday, is Heroes Day. That's the 20th or 29th. One of the two of those days. Oh, someone's calling me. Sorry. Right?
Matthew, if you want to take the call.
No,
go ahead.
I knock it out. Right. What I'm saying is that if this 1,000 people that are viewing can find their way there, the bank holiday for Heroes Day, they can come and see for themselves what is being spoken of. It is not something that you're trying to, as I say, pull the wool over someone's eyes or something. Come and see for yourself. You're not asking for too much. No, I have done many hikes through there, and as you said, Marcia, you said it's your favorite. I would say, if you check my status, you see my status says hike every day. I can hike every day. I can hike the George River Gully every single day, and it will be a different experience, or rather, it will not become monotonous. There's nothing about it to become monotonous. It is just an enjoyable atmosphere. You can walk it, you can sit down, you can lay down, you can sit and fish. It's a whole heap of things that can go on in there. You can cook. There's so many different things, so many different activities can go on in there. And I will jump to this thing now where I call my birthright. For however much people, if it has gone past 1,000 now, I am sure that out of this 1,000 people that are viewing, a few of them, or many of them rather, I should say, would have heard about Esau selling his birthright. But when I gave this thing some really good thought, it really dawned on me that this is not Esau selling his birthright, no, but this is someone buying my birthright without my knowledge. So why should someone be given permission to buy my right to the access that was there for however long Barbados was existing? From the time that bridge was built, access was there because it belonged to the government. People always traverse the gully. And as I was told yesterday, when the bus leave Bathsheba, the Spikestone bus, when the Spikestone bus leave Bathsheba, and you are late for that bus, obviously, you can run across the bridge and go into Cattle Wash and wait for the bus. That's what I was told yesterday. So you were still able to get the bus by going through there. So if access is denied to people that still have to catch a bus, and you could run through there and get into Cattle Wash and get to the first bus stop, if that is denied, you know what you have to do? They have to go down on the beach. They have to go down on the beach and run across the wet sand and the wet rocks, and most likely sprain the ankle or something. And God forbid that music is up. As Victor would say, if music is up, well, let me tell you, it is all over. Wherever you want to go, for sure, you're not going to get there. Because you see those steps that are proposed? Music will remove those steps, you know.
What is it? You're talking you're talking the sea.
Yes, the sea. Or sorry.
You call it what? You spell it.
Music.
Music.
Music. The waves, the beating, the pounding of the waves down in there on the rocks, it is like music.
Because I heard Mr. Lewis saying it, but I couldn't catch exactly what he said. So you're saying you're saying that even the very stairs, and this is where, you know, Mr. Holder and Mr. Lewis, that is so important for these developers and the government and everybody who is involved. Listen to the local people. Listen to the Sir Roy Trotman who lived there. Listen to Mr. Lewis. And listen to Hype Master Matthew Holder. Listen to the people. They're telling you this is a very dangerous sea that is there. It's going to drag people out. Music going to wreak havoc on the people. Listen, it's dangerous. You got to listen to the people, and that's the kind of the social studies and the environmental studies that needed to be done before this project. But go ahead, Mr. Holder.
Right. So to deny people this access, I think it is really, it is not a good thing. I for one, don't have any problems, as Sir Roy said. I was saying that before even I saw that clip. I don't have any problem with anyone coming to Barbados to invest, to spend their money. That is how our economy turns. So why would right-thinking people oppose such things? The only reason such things should be opposed is if it's going to take away the rights and the privileges that people had for centuries.
Yes.
I am, and this is not, I haven't heard anyone say anything about politics or anything, but I'm going to say I'm not political. This has nothing to do with politics. I'm not into politics. I'm into hiking. That's it. So
Yes.
my thing is now, we as the descendants of slaves, I would want to believe that all of us would know what I'm talking about. We are the descendants of slaves. Why are we allowing the descendants of the slave masters to still carry on this kind of behavior? I thought we went into independence and now republicanism and cutting off the last vestiges of the crown. Why are we still doing these things? Why are we allowing these things to pop up their head and people think that if you oppose something, you're against the government? It has nothing to do with the government. This is about someone with very deep pockets, deep and wide pockets, coming and pouring their monies out and saying, this is what I want. Such things should not be allowed to go on. It has nothing to do with how deep your pocket is. This is the boundary here. People travel this area for centuries. Access must continue to be given. That's all. And I do not see why you would need to spend 10 cents to give permission or access. That you don't need to spend money to do such things, to do those two things.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
You know, Matthew, as you were speaking there, I'm glad you brought up the whole issue that this is not a the point that this is not a political issue. It is not. It really is not. And no one here is against development. Development is good. But what Mr. Lewis and Matthew, Mr. Holder, what we're all saying is that, listen, we can coexist. Isn't that what you're saying, Mr. Lewis? We can coexist, but we need to be
absolutely.
able to acknowledge what is custom, what was there before. Remember, if you look at the history of this, that after emancipation, this was a river. Based on the little research that I've done over the last couple of days, that a lot of our foreparents or ancestors used to use this river, whether it be for washing or whatever it is. Okay, This is something that are our ancestors. This is what they know. This path that they are trying to close off from us. Our ancestors traversed it, people.
But if I may comment,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, a question was asked there just now. I saw come up on the screen. And it's a very valid question that I would like to respond to. There's a particular trend that I would have seen in all the proposals that were made over the past year. And if you can look at the common thread, now we began with the intention to build a wall on the left, and we're going from Bathsheba to Catawash. So you're going to build a wall on the left, and you're going to build columns on the right and put in a gate. So the intention there was to block us out. That's number one. Number two, a recommendation was made that a barrier be placed along our train line, the people of Barbados. The recommendation was made by the developers to put a barrier across our train line to stop us from driving in where we doing our cookouts and the little picnic and etc. You cannot drive down there anymore. So a developer comes from over and away and on our land wants to put a barrier across to stop vehicular traffic from arriving at this point where we could just take all of our stuff and go and do our little cookout. Now, that would not only stop vehicular traffic, but it would inhibit or discourage pedestrian traffic coming to the Jones River area. Number three, there was a proposal to use what I may call a flyover bridge from Teacup and Saucer going westward that would bring you and land you down seaward side of the bridge. Now another proposal for a stairway to be built taking you to the seaward side of the bridge. And this particular one that I want all the thousands of people online to listen to. Wherever you are, take your seat, because this one hurt me deep. When the little children of our country, they could have been from Small Town or Hillswick or Creepers Hill or Bathsheba or St. Elizabeth up my side, would be playing under the bridge in their little pools of water with their little nets, catching a little crayfish and catching a little thousands as the case may be, and enjoying themselves in the water. This is what I am accustomed to for the past 28 years at Allen School. And now a child in this country, Barbados, will be found, or children, under the bridge at Jones River, enjoying themselves in healthy activity. And a developer to this country becomes furious and angry because of the presence of those children under the bridge. If there's one thing that keeps me on this project, if there's one thing that will continue to motivate me, if there's one thing that allows me to have that energy every day to step out and challenge what is going on, is this particular one, where we can think of the children of our country being subjected to such psychological torture by a man outside of Barbados under the leadership of Mayor Amor Mortley. It is wrong, it is injustice, and it must not be accepted.
Yes, sir. I feel that very, very, very well said. I know that someone is asking if there's an alternative. Calvin McKenzie was asking if there's an alternative safe plan drawn up by
Christopher,
Mr. Lewis.
now let me respond to that one. Let me respond to that because that's the same question that I saw came up. But emotionally I got carried away. Bear with me. Christopher Oliver made a statement that always resonates with me. A burning statement. Christopher said, Victor, this man don't want one about there. Meaning that this gentleman in question does not want any of us to be on the landward side of the bridge. A few Sundays ago, McDonald Barrow and I, another gentleman that really supports the activity, he was there with me. And we went below the bridge. Just think of the bridge. The bridge has 4 columns. One on the extreme east, one on the extreme west, and 2 between, leaving 3 spaces. The intentions by the developers is to block the first area with a 7 feet high fence with a gate on the column number 1 and column number 2. Between column number 2 and column number 3, we can have access around column number 2 to the point where we normally enter and where it is safe for us to enter. But McDonald and I, we agreed on that. We said, no stairs until cup and saucer.
Yes.
Leave it just as it is. And we will not be entering out between columns 1 and 2. We will make it through columns 2 and 3. Because
Yes.
columns 3 and 4 is where the water travels. But columns 2 and 3 also descends steep. So we were going to make a recommendation that we travel between column 2 and 3 to the point where we establish our entry because it is safe. But Christopher threw it out the window. Christopher said to me, and I must sympathize with Gregory Nichols and our constituency rep, Dale Marshall. They would have sat with us on several occasions. They have made significant effort in coming up with a solution to this matter. I must give it to them that they tried. But Christopher concluded by saying that this man does not want us around, meaning we have no right to be frequenting the area of the landward side of the bridge. But of course, if you're going to hike, the actual barrier, the actual deterrent is the fact now that we've got to travel across big borders or come through the hole. We either jump or we crash. So that is a deterrent. And that has been projected to us that I am not refusing you, but I am putting a significant physical or psychological barrier in your way. So we have made a proposal that will work. But of course, as Christopher rightly said, the man don't want us around. So what are we going to do? I don't think we can call on Mr. Nichols or Mr. Marshall. They would have done their best. They would have tried their best. They have made a significant effort. I must give it to them. Let's make a call to me, Amor Morley, and see what she has to say.
Yes. Thank you because I hope that Calvin understands that. Calvin McKenzie, who asked the question, I actually had visited there today, and I saw what Mr. Lewis is proposing, and to me, who's a hiker, that's me there with a little brown bag on my back. That's me. They're stopping to rest. That's me. That's me. Back. That's me right there, people. Listen. One thing I will say, I believe that what you're proposing is reasonable. That would be the safest, and it makes more sense because it's closer to what we normally would do, right? When we are hiking there, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Matthew, what do you think about where Mr. Lewis is suggesting? Because we need to coexist. The development is important, okay, but our safety is also important. Do you agree with Mr. Lewis?
Yes, I don't have a problem with that. As he was speaking, I was seeing because, as they say, I know the place like the back of my hand, as the saying would go. So as he was talking about it, I was visualizing it, and I am in full agreement with that. I don't have no problem with that at all. Access underneath the bridge where it is safe for traveling, you know, I am in full agreement with it. And
Yeah.
the coexistence is important. It is also important to know that all of the previous owners of Edgewater Hotel never had a problem with people passing through there. Never.
Yes.
Everybody accepted the fact that this is some place that locals and visitors alike travel, and no one has never erected anything to stop anyone from passing. So I don't know why um, someone would want to do that now, and I don't know why it would be allowed to happen.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. Yes. You see the children here playing. My son was here as well with us, and we were all swinging across. Of course, I didn't do that part, but right, Matthew. But the children have fun there, and
Yeah.
we had little ones, and they navigated well. Little boys, little girls. We had even a father with a baby in hand, and it was
Hmm.
beautiful, and I really love it, and I think that this
Yeah.
needs to be preserved, and that
That,
access need to be there, and we need to be able to come to some kind of amicable resolution, and something that we can coexist. I think that is important. I see Mr. Franklin is there, and I also have Nigel Newton in the room, and Heather. But we're going to get to them very very soon. But let me ask you again, Matthew. Matthew,
yeah.
the section that Mr. Lewis was speaking about tonight, where he believes it's treasures, where the boulders are. You were telling me that someone that you're close to, you had a photo shoot in the area, and you were scared. Could you talk? Is it okay for
Yeah.
you to talk about that?
Yeah, man. That was my daughter,
Mhm.
very close to me. Someone very, very close to me. It was my daughter. She had to do a photo shoot for for her class. She's doing um, it was a photography thing at BCC. So that she had to do this thing for her portfolio. So she said it has to be, like at the beach or something with water that they need to capture different elements of water and that kind of stuff. So what better place to go than Rose River? So I took her down there to the under the bridge, and she was she was doing her thing, and I'm watching her, especially when she started to approach what is known as Judy Hole, because it is not something that you can get out of just so, because it is like kind of slippery, and the embankment, it is not much that you can walk on. So to be proposing for something for people to be going in that direction tells me that, you know, you most likely don't care about who comes in here. You're just pushing them out. But for my daughter, I really had to keep my eyes on her at that stage. You know, she keeps saying, yes, daddy, I'm okay. I'm not going too far over there and that kind of stuff. But, you know, I know it wasn't a wrong, or actually, I don't know how many years ago it was that the girl Judy drowned in there. But I knew for sure that someone had drowned in that hole. You know,
Yeah.
so
And that's the hole that they're proposing that we pass through.
yeah, that you have to be navigating around.
Navigating around. That's not correct. That is unjust. That is not right. And that cannot happen here in Barbados. And I want the Barbadian people, all of us Barbadians, to say no, it is not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and we will have the access that we are customary to, and right there under the bridge between the column 2 and 3 is what we want, because that is what is safe for our people, and that's it. That's just what I believe. Let me hear the people now. I'm gonna bring before I do that, your daughter actually wrote a poem, a poem on the Joes River. Is that true, Matthew? Did I hear that correctly?
Not a poem, but it was more. I wish I could get it now, but I may not be able to pick it up right now. I might knock myself out the program. But she wrote. And you know, now that you asked me about it, I would make this plea right now, right? That out of the 1,000 or more people that are on here now listening, if you or anyone that you know has ever been to Bathsheba, actually you don't even have to have been to Bathsheba or what the case may be. We need people to submit letters, just write something stating how you feel about people being given access to, or rather denying locals and visitors. And I, you know, coming home this evening, Marcia, I thank you for calling me, right? Because really and truly, I was, right, that is me there doing something. Right.
That's me. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's the crew there. Right. On my way coming home, I had to shut down work actually to come to this thing, you know. I said I'm not gonna miss it, and I almost miss it. If you didn't call me, I would still be doing some plumbing. Right?
Yes.
The two things I love, plumbing and hiking. Right? And on my way coming home, you know, I was just thinking about this thing, and this is affecting even the unborn. You understand? This is affecting the unborn, you know. The unborn has no knowledge of this thing, but when they come into this world, they will come and find a place that you cannot go any further, thus far and no further. Visitors that would have traversed that place, they will come back to Barbados and find that they cannot go in this direction anymore. But yet tourism is our business. Why aren't we playing our part? Why are we allowing people to do such a thing? So the plea is, write a letter, put your feelings on paper, and send it to an email address. I can give my email address that I can pass it, and I will pass it on to the relevant people that this thing, we need to ramp up this thing in the form of letters, signatories to something to show that this thing ought not to go on, and it has nothing to do with the size of people's pocket. It has to do with the Barbadian people. If the people doesn't want this, then no amount of money should supersede the conscience of the people. This is a democratic country. Why should money dictate what happens?
Yeah.
Why should money be dictating it? So I would say I can give my email address, Marcia, if you can write it down, and then put it up on the screen or something.
Send it to Dave, and he will put it up. And Matthew, that's great. And we are going to continue to ask for these letters. I think this will complement very well what Mr. Lewis is doing. The other thing that Mr. Lewis is doing, and we want to support him on it. And with this, I am going to ask Mr. Franklin. I'm going to bring him in into the studio at this time. One of the things that Mr. Franklin, good night, Mr. Franklin, and I discussed, and he raised it on the show. Mr. Franklin called for it on the show, actually, that we go to St. Joseph and we support the people of St. Joseph. And when we support the people of St. Joseph,
just a minute, please. I'm gonna try and get out and send the information to Dave.
Yes.
So if I get knocked off or something, it could be with these electronic things.
Yes, no problem, no problem. So let me put you out, and then you can always come back in. Yeah. I was saying that Mr. Franklin, right? Somebody's saying we need a massive protest there. So what I'm saying is that because time is so important right now, the timeliness of everything that we do, every move that we make right now is so important. Come Sunday, we are going to see. This is Sunday, next week Sunday. Would that be, is that April? Next week Sunday, it's going to be April the 7th. April the 7th. We are going to seek permission to do a motorcade. We are going to meet there at St. Elizabeth School, and then we are going to drive in a motorcade with our speaker and talk to the people in the villages. And then when we get to our destination, we will have some speeches, and Mr. Lewis promised us a cookout.
No. We will cook together.
We will cook together. We will cook together there. So listen out for that. But Mr. Franklin, that means Mr. Lewis is taking you on this suggestion that we come to support the people in St. Joseph. Welcome, Mr. Franklin. What are your thoughts about what you're hearing tonight?
Good night, everyone. Marcia, I'm not a happy camper tonight. I usually smile when I come on the show, but I find it hard to force a smile tonight. It is not easy hearing what is happening, and it is not easy listening to hearing that our people are representatives, people who put themselves up to represent us, either pro bono as a lawyer or as a representative, are not doing their best. I heard gentlemen saying that they did their best. No, they did not. No, they did not. They tried to make you believe they were doing their best. All right? Because let me tell you what little bit I know. You have the right to be there. You have a right to be across that property because it has been always in existence and nobody can take it away from you. And the existing right of way is one that you must have. It is what the law allows you to have. That is why the people at Edgewater never tried to move it, because not that they were loving black people or anything like that. It is that the Lord didn't allow them to take it away. The Lord does not allow these people to take it away either, unless the government of Barbados give them permission to do so. All right? So that is what it's all about. So when you hear they talking about, well, they did their best and they tried their best, no, they did not. They deceive you into believing that they were doing their best. Beware of Greeks bearing gifts, especially when those, the gifts in this case, sorry, is free legal advice and free legal representation. Greeks. I had that same Greek working for me. I'm going to tell you about it after, don't worry. What should happen here, right? Those people should design their project around the system and around the existing conditions that we have. Yes, we shouldn't be trying to move anything. There's so much technology in the world. Mind you, they do not want you there. They didn't even want you in the dangerous area. Because if they make it possible that only you could go to the dangerous area, you will not go. So you will not have any access to any area whatsoever. That is what it is all about. They don't want to see these black faces down there. Unless the black faces bring drinks to you. And wearing some foolish gallop uniform to look like an idiot. And you walk around the place like in some monkey suit. That's what they want for the people back. I don't normally agree with Sir Roy Trotman, you know. But when I saw the clip, he was saying something that I can agree with for the first time in a long time. So when me and Sir Roy agree, you know something gotta be wrong. You know? This development can exist and you can coexist. All they have to do is to design, as I said, design their project taking into consideration the existing conditions. You don't need to compromise. You don't need to come and say, well, look, we will try to amend here and go around this spot and do anything. Leave we as we are. So that you could go and do your thing, but leave us. Other projects exist, the Edgewater exists, and they didn't have a problem. Why would you have a problem? Use the area that is available for you to use, not the one that we have. Locals have rights. And where you are, and I understand Bajans like to make peace, right? But sometimes peace comes at the end of a gun. You know, people fight wars to get peace, you know. And you have to sit down and decide, well, look, we can fight this. We are not going to sit down and take what you give us. And who minions you send to deceive us and bearing those Greeks bearing gifts. And to deceive us into believing that they're doing us favors. They're not. They are cooperating with the developer, whoever it is. Because up to now, I don't know who this developer is, you know. Do you? I hear people say a man or a woman. No, it got to be a woman or a man. It can be. So it has to be somebody. So you should be guessing. You should see that this person should come to the people up there and say, well, look, we are doing this project. And I know you got an existing thing, but my concept, and we will show him why it can't work. Like I'm talking, where he got to send this representative, the third representative, fourth representative, and an attorney general. Because that attorney general was not out there doing your bidding as your parliamentary representative. You were out there fighting. He came along reluctantly when people called him out. And then he said, oh, he had to ask the permission to step aside. You don't step aside as attorney general in Barbados. You do the right thing for the people of your constituency. Those are the people who elected you. The attorney general is not a senator. He has his first and foremost duty is to the people of his constituency, because if you did not put him there, he would not be an attorney general today. He will not be anything today. But unfortunately for the people of St. Joseph, they always put their trust, except in one instance when they elect Maisie Barkerwell in the Barbados Labour Party, who has deceived them. St. Joseph and St. John was probably the least developed areas in Barbados, and now they want to put some development, but they want to take away the areas that the locals enjoy. They don't want you to enjoy anything. They don't want you to have anything of yours. They're coming to Barbados. See Barbadians having an area of recreation, and you want to take that from them too? That is not on. You got to tell and let me tell you something. This development cannot happen unless the Prime Minister approves it. So who is it? You think the Attorney General going to go against the Prime Minister? He's tricking you. Under the Planning Development, the Prime Minister is the Minister for Planning. So she has to give permission. And if she wanted to, and if she was fair and decent and reasonable, she would have come to the people first before anybody put a cement block or a pound of sand or a shovel of marl up there. She should have come to the people to find out what the area was. But you know what we are in the Barbados? This government is like a prostitute working up for whoever pays. So once you got the money, you will get the meat. And that is what is happening here. That is what you see happening up to just yesterday when they were planning to go before the House to do this payroll government who spend every cent they get as soon as they get it. So this is just money. They don't care anything about you. You're going to vote next time and jump up on the platform and wear red shirts. This is all about. Don't talk about. I hear these fellas say he in the politics. You better get some, because that is what is working. You're not political. Everybody political, and you gotta be political in your own interests. It ain't gonna be B or D. It could be, unless the B is Bashiba, but you gotta be political in your own interests. Because if you don't, you will end up there rappelling down that cliff on a rope, because that's all they will leave for you. And then the left side rope dangling for you to come back up.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Franklin, I definitely share your sentiment. It is a sad day, and I just can't believe this has to be reversed. I tell you. I'm seeing Mr. Nigel Newton on as well, and Mr. Newton, what are your thoughts about what you're hearing here tonight? Mr. Newton is a philosophy teacher at Barbados Community College, and it is his I read from his document at the start of the program, and I'm just going to read the quote again from this. I think that should be this document should be required reading for every Barbadian if I had my way, right? He said, sadly, our political administrators, aided and abetted by the traditional white elite, believe that they have an absolute right to do as they please, when and however they choose. We, the people, however, must never fail to inform the political class that there is a limit to power, and that we, the people, will hold them accountable and remove them as necessary. This is Mr. Nigel C. Newton. He's the author of this document. Mr. Newton, you would have you've been backstage from 7 o'clock, before 7. What are your thoughts about what you've heard this evening, sir?
Good night, Marcia, and all the members of the People's Opposition. To a certain extent, I am so baffled, so hurt, so disappointed. Everything that is not good, I am experiencing it now because of the attitude and behavior of this sick-minded government towards us Barbadians. I recall as a boy the right excellent Errol Walton Barrow saying back then, one of these mornings we are going to wake up and find Barbados does not belong to us. I am saying to you and to the loyal opposition tonight, those words are no longer prophetic. They are a reality in our time. What we heard earlier in this program is heart-wrenching, and should not be allowed. Okay? It should never be allowed.
Now, the West Coast is gone. The South Coast is gone. Coming up from the Crane area, the East Coast is going from us. Now, the Bathsheba area, a major part of the Scotland district that has always been protected throughout the history of Barbados, that is now going into the hands of foreigners. I think the time has come when we as Barbadians have to say to the government, you will go no further. We need to have an Alien Landholding Act to prohibit foreigners from purchasing this land. And what we are seeing now is the final stages of the gentrification of Barbados. The West Coast is gone. The South Coast is gone. We are now being surrounded. And you know what is going to happen? We Barbadians are going to be squeezed into the center of this island, and they are going to contain us. We will be contained in a small area of this beautiful island, and we must not allow that to happen. And I am not in agreement with the idea that we can coexist. I think that development should be stopped. It should stop immediately. That is a pristine area of Barbados, and I think that we have a right to preserve it as it is for future generations of Barbadians. And, you know, as I listened and I reflect, in fact, what I was doing last night and today, I was reviewing some research material. And I would say this is what I discovered, and I want to share it with you, Marcia. And it is based on, recall that on Friday night, I outlined the principles, let me see, what are the policies, the policies that are against us. And it is, the first one I mentioned was rendering the African people landless. And recall, recall my entire presentation on Friday night. But I want to share this with you. The drive to confiscate African lands was the primary means of reducing Africans into a state of landlessness. During conquest and the settlement, Europeans took away the lands belonging to the indigenous people and enacted laws which are measures which were quite brutal. They were quite brutal to compel Africans to quit ancestral lands. Okay? Back then, war, murder, strong drink, syphilis, and other civilized diseases were the main instruments to in the destruction commonly couched under the euphemism contact with a superior civilization. Okay? Now, all that is happening in Joes River is plain and simple a continuation of the conquest of the world by Europeans and of late Chinese. Barbados must not permit itself to be the victim of neocolonialism again. We must not be. And I think that that project in the Joes River area should be scrapped. It should not proceed so that we can preserve that area, that entire area, for future generations of Barbadians. Now, let me share another angle with you. In our African tradition, we believe that the family consists of the living, the dead, and the yet unborn. And we should be preserving the Joes River area and the entire seacoast for the family that is yet to be born. And I think in this case, we we need to have a massive civil disobedience to stop this nonsense from going on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Nigel Newton. And there is another section in your book that I'm looking for, and I know I'm going to find it, and I want to read that before we close tonight. But let me just say, this is Miss Heather Cole, and Heather is in the diaspora. She's a Bajan living in New York, and she was the one who first brought this issue to the Marcia Week show, not just last week, but a couple months ago. Heather brought this issue to the Marcia Week show, and I invited her on tonight. You came on tonight, Miss Cole, and you would have heard from these two guardians here of our heritage here in Barbados. What are your thoughts? What's going through your mind, Heather?
Hello, everyone. Quite a bit, Marcia. But first, I want to address Mr. Lewis. I don't know if he remembers me. He's not. Is he looking? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Margot. Yeah, Heather, go ahead.
Did you remember me? I used to teach at the Allen School a long time ago when I was in my 20s for 2 years.
What year that was?
91 to 93, I think it was. A long time ago.
Yes. Well, I was there in 1987. I was there in 1987. I was there in 1987.
So it was 93, 91 to 93, I think it was.
Right, under Ashley Jordan or Mr. Beckles.
Yes. Mr. Beckles left shortly, probably the year after I left for something like that.
Beautiful.
George. I don't remember exactly,
George,
but it was
George
there.
Beckles,
George. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So you're still Ali Stone City for others not so.
Exactly. Yes. It did not rub off.
Beautiful.
But I wanted to say a few things, and I did make some notes as everybody was talking. And the first thing is that development must be for the betterment of Barbadians. If it is not for the betterment of Barbadians, regardless of how many fancy hotels they bring, it is not development. We will not be benefiting. So it would be better if it is not there at all. And in this particular case in Bathsheba, well, it's just one aspect of things that are happening in Bathsheba. The others I can get to on Wednesday evening, but this is marginalization, pure and simple. It is designed to keep the people out of the area of Joes River so that they can't be seen. And some people in the chat and were saying that it is political, and some saying not political. But in my opinion, it is political, because the Town and Country Planning Act was changed. I think it was in 2019. 2019, yes, the act was changed. And the same lawyer who was working for Town and Country Planning, she was also the lawyer for 10B. So for those who think that it is not political, it is political.
Can you repeat that again? Can you repeat that?
Yes.
What are you saying? What are you saying? That's a bombshell. Can you explain that a bit further?
I said that the person who changed the Town and Country Planning Act She was working at Town and Country Planning. She was the first lawyer for this 10B project. So she knows what was going on, and the Prime Minister approved of it. So anybody who thinks that is not political, think again.
So that's the allegation. So because we have to say it's an allegation, right?
It's an allegation.
We're alleging that this is what has happened. Yes, continue.
Right.
Yes.
And so what it is now that the laws are being made to favor investors and not locals. And they could be foreign investors or local investors, but the law has been rearranged to be in their favor and not people's. And one thing that I want to mention was from the site plan that Mr. Lewis mentioned, was that there is a wellness center there. And we haven't discussed that as yet, but it is meant for the tourists or the guests at the 10B, not for locals. But what it is that you cannot build something in the river without an environmental assessment. And that was supposed to be done. But in their last proposal, they said that they are not going to build it. So it already has planning permission, but they are kind of trying to, this is one of the things that they are would forego in order to get locals appeased so that they would go ahead with the plan. But there is a plan for a wellness center in the river. Can you imagine that? Boulders would have to be built and it's actually going to divert the course of the water. And that should not happen without an environmental study. Also, when I think it was Mr. Lewis again, mentioned Mr. Lewis, as well as the person who works at the community college, I don't remember his name now, he spoke about areas around Barbados that are no longer, that let's say have gone. Locals can't live there anymore. We have been priced out of them. And I want to say that my father is from the Crane, so part of my childhood was spent in the Crane. And I remember as a child walking through the hotel, dipping my foot in the pool, going down on the pier to look out and so on. So back then, locals were part of the establishment. No, and there was a lot of land. And my great-grandmother's land was on the boundary, the hillside boundary to the main road. Part of her land was there as a boundary. So now they have erected fences, walls have been erected on both sides. And then there is a road that leads you to the hotel. So there are walls on both sides. Similar to this 10B thing now, walls on both sides, and just the road, and it has a guard and you can't get in or anything like that. But on the eastern side now, the western side, all of that land did not belong to the hotel. And I don't know how. There was this old lady who we used to call Assie, and people thought she was mad. She owned a big portion of land on the eastern side. On the western side of the hotel. But for whatever reason, and she died and she didn't have any heirs. Somehow or the other, the land now belongs to the hotel. So something went wrong. So I'm saying that the experiences that I had as a child in the Crane, going all over, going down through the monkey jump and places like that, the children who live there now will never have that experience that I had in my childhood. And this is not what we want for the people who live in and around Joes River in St. Joseph. So we have to stop it. My son doesn't even know what it felt like to be going on in the Crane Hotel grounds. Everything was open. There used to be a cricket field on part of the ground as well. Nobody can play cricket because there's no room to play cricket anymore. And let me see.
But Heather, what I
Yeah.
also want to say to you is that um, Long Pond, Long Pond is also surveyed
Mhm.
and up for sale. When you travel from Tent Bay and you're going towards Martin Bay, that stretch, the Glen Burnie stretch, all of that has been surveyed to be sold.
My
And
God.
I don't think Africans will be the owners.
Well, we must stop that too. I
Mhm.
remember when I was teaching at the Alien School, I taught there for 2 years, and there was a young policeman, and I took some children on a hike, and we went through Long Pond. Again, that is one of the most beautiful places that there is in
Mhm.
Barbados, and it should
Yeah.
be preserved for all Barbadians. It should not be sold.
Mhm.
So we must do something about that. So this is quite unacceptable. And I'm looking to see what other notes I had written. Oh, does everybody know that rock that is in Bathsheba in the sea, the big rock? I remember when there was
Yes.
the Bold and Beautiful had it
Mhm.
on their show when
Yes,
they
in Institute, yes. Yes.
just a long time ago. Do you know that this rock is being claimed as part of the developers, part of the land that the developer owns? Do you believe that?
Wow.
Say that again.
The rock, the historic rock. You know where it is, right? It was shown on the screen a little
Yeah.
while ago.
Bathsheba
That
Park.
yes,
Yeah.
that rock is part of the property that the developer owns. So
Who said
something
What?
that?
again.
Listen, Mr. Franklin, you hearing this nonsense? You're gonna tell me that rock that before I came to Barbados, you used to see it on the postcard. That this
Yes.
Australian to come inside of our country and tell us that he owned the rock? What the hell
Listen,
is this?
listen to me very carefully. You can't own anything um
Beyond.
beyond the high water mark. So you can't. The high water mark is there. That's your property. So you can't own anything out to sea.
Right.
The high water mark limits the extent of your property. So, but we have a government that can amend the constitution. It can do anything. So you never know if they would give them permission. And next thing you know, you can't even go and take a picture of that rock because it's taking people property. Look, we have to be careful what is happening around us. We got to be vigilant. That's one of the reasons why I'm here, because I see too much madness going on, and I do not want. I want Barbados to preserve for Barbadians. You're quite right when you're saying that the development should be for the people. So if you're going to
Yes.
develop, because development is not about money only.
Right.
You want to get some money, yes, but if it means that you're going to shut people up in the hinterland so that they can go and people and shake at them, you know what I mean? If that's what you want, that's not development. That might be getting more money. Because this government has an insatiable appetite for money, and whoever comes and lift up their skirt, they will give them money. You know, look at that, look at that there. Look. Nobody can own that. That will got to be on the beach, further up from the high water mark.
Mr. Franklin, let me tell you, I tell you now, they claiming they own this rock. Let me tell you, Belgium will
Mm.
throw big rocks.
At
That's
low
all I'm
tide,
going to say tonight. They're going
at
to be
low tide, they
throwing
own the rock.
rocks in here in
No.
Barbados.
The high
Tell you
water
now.
mark is where the sea comes up at high water.
Mhm.
So the one, I just think it's not even like fixed, but this definitely is in the sea, so it can't be above the high water mark.
I must give credit to Ronnie, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, who I remember that someone contacted him and arranged for him to do a tour of Joe's River, and he actually did go on the tour, spoke to the media, and was very incensed about it. And I say that because I know that we are hard on him sometimes on the show when he doesn't do anything, but he did do something for on this particular issue. and and I'm speaking about it because I think this is an issue. This is what it's called. What what it means to stand up and be a voice for the people. In fact, Mr. Franklin sent me a poem. Is it me that he sent? And I'm looking for it because I
Yes,
want to
I sent it to you as well.
yeah, and I want to say to him, we need everybody on this. Dr. Yearwood, pick back up this issue. Let it not be that you start things, or people start things and then they don't finish them. Pick up the issue. We want those in opposition, the leader of the opposition, the senators who are in opposition. Use your voices. You're in parliament. Use your voices. The poem says "Make a Stand" by Jimmy Osborne. Keep your wits about you. It says, unexpected. Keep your wits about you and expect the unexpected. Speak for those who have no voice and protect the unprotected. We always have a choice to be the ones to make a stand, to step up and make some noise for the silent ones who can't. Will you fight for what is right? Be the light and take command? Or will you flee into the night and hide your head beneath the sand? And if there ever comes a time when I no longer can, I hope you'll fight for me and be the one to make a stand. I think this is such an appropriate poem, Mr. Franklin, that you sent to us by Jimmy Osborne. And this is why we are putting up the email address for Mr. I'm looking for it again. The email address for Mr. Matthew Holder to ask you to send your letters of disgust, whatever you want to call them, letters of disagreement, letters of whatever label you put on it. Send your letters that you are not in agreement. Everybody, you could write. Thank God for free education in Barbados. Thank God for our first prime minister. Right? We all had free education. Holder Matthew 05 at Gmail. Right? Send the letters in. It could be a little paragraph. It don't have to be any big thing. All right? Send a letter in. Okay? And also get ready for next Sunday. We have almost 1,400 people on here tonight. Okay? Not 1,400, 1,327 people on here tonight. Listen to me. All roads need to lead down to Bathsheba on Sunday if we mean business. If you think that this is more than a talk shop that we had tonight.
Indeed it is.
All roads need to lead down to Bathsheba. I'm saying the wrong thing. Where are we going, Mr. Lewis?
All roads will lead to Bathsheba. You're correct. Because when we think Bathsheba, we think Hillswick, Cleversville, Catterwash, small town, George River, the whole works. The activity will be down there. So that will be the potluck come Sunday.
Come Sunday, and we will listen to this show. Listen to this show. We're going to give you more directions on it. We are seeking to get the permissions. It's a short week because tomorrow is a holiday. We're going to start come Tuesday, and we're going to keep you informed. But if this is your birthright, if this means something to you, Sunday we should not have place to put cars. That motorcade should be as long from Bathsheba to Bridgetown. Or from Bridgetown to Bathsheba, whatever, you guys know the geography better than I do.
Yes.
Somebody just wrote in here about birthright. And I'm telling you, I am so fired up. Because Kimar is on here and he's going to tell you, Kimar came on this show and told us, and I could not believe it. I told Kima, bring the proof, ask him. I said, show me. They're selling out the East Coast. They're selling all of Bridgetown before long, as Mr. Newton says. What's going to happen? We're going to be huddled up into the center of the island because we're not good enough to be on the coast. We're not good enough to enjoy the sea and the lovely breeze.
Master,
yes.
We know the therapeutic value of geographically. We know how it has been beneficial to us all over the years. Is it justifiable to think that we will sit back and allow that therapy that has worked for us and will work as part of an intergenerational wealth for our children to come to enjoy? Can we sit back and allow that to happen? This is not politics. This is fact. We can't afford to identify with that, neo-colonialistic mentality.
Marcia.
Yes, sir.
This is reminiscent of how our ancestors lost Africa. Because we had the Western Asians attacking from Egypt, what is today Egypt, okay? And the Western Asians, the Arabs, they came across and they conquered the entire northern portion of Africa. The Dutch went into the south and took over South Africa. The Germans went into the east. The Germans and the British went into the east, into Tanganyika and Kenya and so on and so forth. The Germans had Southwest Africa, which is now today Namibia, such that the Europeans and the Arabs, they took up all the sea coasts, okay, and they cut off Africa from world trade. And that is why Africa today is so poor and so dependent on the West, because foreigners took up all of the coastal areas and squeeze. Okay, you hear the term Africa south of the Sahara?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Arabs took over from Egypt and forced the African people, because don't forget, the entire continent of Africa was black, okay? But the invaders came in, took up the coastal areas, squeezed the African people into the center, and that's why Africa today cannot survive. And I am saying we must not allow that to happen to us in Barbados. But before you go on, let me quickly share with you a poem.
Yes,
and I want to,
really quickly, because I want to bring in Kimar here, right? Go ahead.
yes. Yes. This poem is entitled Resistance. I wrote this back somewhere in 1989, 90, somewhere around there. It's called Resistance. Fancy, Ra, fancy, traveling across this beautiful land. I see men in their vigor and prime, poor, dejected, with empty hands they stand. Yet living in a land of plenty, where millions are made by those of a distant land. Tell me, Ra, tell me, must I be cowed into passivity and cooperation in the midst of such injustice and exploitation? No, gracious Ra, empower your servant to battle oppression. Through new direction, we need our redemption. See, righteous Ra, see, ponder and understand. As I evaluate this social system, 'tis a stinking affair, I must conclude, inflicted on us by devils and dogs. Our goals and ambitions, they have reduced. Now, forms of resistance, we must induce. Hear me, Ra, hear. Consider my grief. I'm tired of poverty, oppression, and depression. Up you mighty Ra? Is there no hope of relief? Must I stand idly by amidst such repression? No, gracious Ra. Give me the art of resistance against my oppressor who planned my destruction.
Wow, powerful, powerful, Nigel. And I know we were trying for you to release that poem last week at the march, but you see, it came in at the right time. Thank you so very much. Let me go quickly on
Marcia,
to
Marcia,
yes, Heather.
before you go on, could you get Dave to put back up his site map?
Up the
Because
map.
from there you will see where the property boundaries for 10B is, and it does encroach the sea.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'll ask Dave. Can you
Yes.
put up? Thank you, Dave. Dave is doing such a great job. Thank you, Dave. Can you put up the map for us, please? Let me just go to let me go to Kimar, because Kimar is very key in this whole thing. For me, he's very key. Why I say Kimar is key for this, because the first person who brought this whole thing to me, I mean, I you know, as someone born in Jamaica, I know that we have that problem in Jamaica. And as I'm saying, what we're doing tonight is trying to nip this in the bud before it gets out of hand, and we are in a position like Jamaica. So I know the problem we had in Jamaica. So when Kmart came to me and said, Marcia, they're selling up Bridgetown and East Coast, I'm like, no, you mad. And in my mind, I was like, I wasn't too sure he was speaking, you know. I said, show me, Kimar. Bring the facts and show me. And he did. So when I heard about this Joes River issue, the first person who came to mind is Kimar. Kimar, I don't know if you were listening to the program, but good night. And I want to hear your thoughts on this particular issue.
Good night, Marcia. Good night to Caswell. Good night to Heather and the other members of the panel. And good night to the members of the loyal opposition. Welcome on another Sunday evening. Joes River. I would have showed you a picture where the east coast of Barbados and St. Andrew was for sale by a private real estate company. And we were wondering how this real estate company got the beach land in St. Andrew for sale. I heard one of the panelists this evening speaking about East Coast, and I was listening and I was like, yes, he's correct. I know that there's documents and discussion going on right now about the entire Scotland district. And the government made changes to the Scotland District Act, and they focus on the Scotland District rehabilitation, which includes from St. Andrew straight over to St. John. And there were some plans and talks with the Chinese to be able to develop that side of Barbados. And as we spoke about the zonal policy, where the government changed the Barbados Water Authority Act to rejig the zones, all of the areas, all of these site areas became open for sale. Right? And you remember the government saying they now have 3,737 hectare acres available for investment purposes, and
yes.
that investment decision was under the Office of Planning and Development, or Town Country Planning, which is headed by William Duggan, right? But that office is in the Prime Minister's office. So such decisions, and we will see that based off the slide you just put up, Marcia, it says "Welcome to Barbados." It shows that the Prime Minister was early out in discussions in terms of putting all of these water prone areas, like the rustic East Coast up for investment, for sale really. But this started as far back as Oinasa, where in 1994 they would have passed, the Barbados Party passed an act called the Investment Sector Bill.
Yes, that's right.
Which for $35 million, they began to sell out from the IDB. They began to sell out all of the massive chunks of land, plantation land for golf course purposes, for $1 million condos and $1 million mansions. And they were taking out the good agricultural land, all of the good coastal lands, and selling them off to non-nationals for foreign exchange. And the same thing they did before. Change the land zone policies to allow those lands to go up for sale. And that is how Barbados ended up with all of those massive, and as you see, St. Peter, which was the constituency of the Prime Minister, I think. Just check the coast of St. Peter, and you will see exactly what I'm speaking about. Check all down St. James, right? And you can see all of those areas blocked up. Check Stanley Lane, coming down, all those areas were facilitated through the same investment sector bill. So it happened before and it's happening again. And this time, it is getting much worse because what we know, all in Bridgetown, as you can see on the screen, from BDF Bay straight down to Central Purchasing at Spring Garden, that entire coastal area is up for sale and reinvestment. St. Lawrence Gap, they want to put a marina in St. Lawrence Gap, right? So you can see the country is definitely up for sale, and the Office of Planning and Development this year, in which they fired the old chief town planner and abolished his office to then create a board which was appointed by the minister, so that all investment decisions such like this will come to a board that is put in place by the minister. So we think will happen with decisions such like this. Not even the Attorney General, in which Joseph Rivers in his constituency could do or say anything about it, right? Because these decisions are placed clearly in the Prime Minister's office, and they hardly do these things kind of cabinet, right? So there is it all on the screen for us to see. What we have here, Marcia, is Harrison Point. Here was Brandon's Beach, Silver Sands, The Crane, Sam Lars, Pigeon Point. Hey. Guys here showcasing distinct opportunities within Bridgetown and Caroline Bay. So just think about how Bridgetown is going to look. Think about the fact that the government wants to destroy Savvy on the Bay to turn it back into a car park, and that they passed a bill also instructing the people to return back Savvy on the Bay into a car park because they promised a hotel on the opposite side of the road where the Ministry of Health building is, where the old Ministry of Health building is, right? You are selling off Central Purchasing, which is done by Kensington, right opposite Kensington, to build do expansion of the port with $100 million loan from the African Exim Bank. And you're going to build a marina type activity and a hotel right there that persons can drive in the big yachts and get out and walk straight into Kensington Oval. So Barbados is definitely changing, and Barbados will look completely different in a couple of years if this administration is allowed to carry out this agenda that we can see clearly right in front of us. We don't have to go anywhere. It's right here, and they tell us exactly what they want to do in terms of allowing hotel and other tourism type investments on these coastal areas, and persons living in the areas of Nelson Street and parts of the Bayland. All of these people will be moved. In fact, they already wrote letters from Star Country Planning to some people in Wellington Street, letting them know that the land is being surveyed and they're seeking to evaluate and eventually to pay them out. London-born towers, those big government towers. Those people will be moved. Right? And it was announced already that they want to move those people to put them in the Treasury building, the old Treasury building that is in Bridgetown, because they want to do some test project on putting people to live directly in the city. And the same building that was being condemned as an environmental failure, they want to take people from living in London-born towers because they're set to sell London-born towers for big hotel that the tourists could just walk straight across the beach and go on to Bronx Beach. As we speak, we can't even go to Bronx Beach good anymore because there's not that I even vexed. I'm happy for the tourist dollars, but there are beach chairs from Boatyard straight up to Bay Street, Lower Bay Street, going all up by government headquarters. The tourists have down there packed, so you can hardly get a space on Bronx Beach, which is good. I'm glad the tourists coming, but you're taking it not even a step, but way further, and saying that they don't want to construct, and the place here can show you every spot in Bridgetown that they want to construct hotels. Right? Think about it, Marcia. How are you going to move the army? You're going to sell the army's base, which is a World Heritage Site, a UNESCO site. You're going to sell that for a hotel. And then eventually, and you can mark these words right here on this show tonight, you're going to hear the government saying that the garrison Savannah is going to be up for reinvestment as well. And eventually they're going to sell the garrison too, right? Because they're going to put it under the guys that they want to transform the garrison and upgrade it as some big investor. And I believe the investor is going to be from the United Arab Emirates, because the Arabs are set to build a hotel in Barbados as a part of the PPP airport deal to lease out the Grantley Adams International Airport for 30 years. So you heard Martin said on the show before that the Arabs wanted to come to Barbados, but Hotel Sandy Lane was a little too small for them, which is the biggest 5-star hotel in the Caribbean. But the Arabs don't think it's good enough for them, so they want to build their own type of hotel, right? So if the government was honest, they could have told us if it is the Arabs there, so the BDF base too. And if they are allowing investment into the Turf Club and the Garrison Savannah to upgrade the track and introduce all type of new things on it, because the investment, because that hotel that is supposed to be going on the BDF base could possibly, the Arabs could be the investors behind that. But this changes the complete cultural landscape of Barbados, right? And soon enough, Marcia, starting with this Pierhead project, where as far back as on half of times, and you guys that are much older than me would know this, they were supposed to put a hotel there called the Meridian Hotel, right? That was in times in Owen Alpha. They were supposed to put the Meridian Hotel right there, but it didn't happen. So fast forward now, they're saying they want to put some type of Lime Grove type investment right there after they took away Miss Ram's property by compulsory acquisition. And up to now, no one believe Miss Ram was paid for her property. And that was the excuse they used when they took away Miss Ram's property, that they were doing it for public good.
Yeah.
Right? What public good is taking away a lady's property? Refusing to pay, carry out the land tax so she can't be afford to pay for it. Right? And they say that in public interest. And up to now, you still can't get the Hyatt bill. We're still waiting for whatever process. We were promised the Hyatt for 5 times back to back by Mr. Dugate. Just check all the newspapers. And the Prime Minister, the Hyatt was supposed to be built in 2018 when they first got in. They were promising a speedy Hyatt. But don't forget, Commission filed an injunction to block the last government from putting up the Hayat on the grounds that there was supposed to be environmental impact assessment. When the government changed, the government tricked him, and the government changed the law, right, which is they abolished the old Town Country Planning Act, passed the new Planning and Development Act, and says that before it said that an environmental impact assessment was legally required by law, you had to do it. But no, the legislation.
I have to cut you with Kimar because the government did not trick Commission. Commission was all together with this because I said this in the Senate, I said it on the radio, and I'm going to say it here again tonight. Commission was all in this together. He told me outside of my office, when my office was on White Park Road, that he never opposed to the Hyatt. He just wanted to stop those fellas from getting any investment, meaning that you don't want the dams to get any investment into Barbados. He told me that. And I challenged him to deny it. I've said it too many times, and he has never done it. The only thing he's done after that is curse me. And one of the grounds that he claimed that he wanted to stop it is that it would cast a shadow on his father's grave. But his father is buried in the church across the road. So don't let them fool you. He was part and parcel of the whole scheme to stop the last government from getting any money because you want to keep them poor, keep them impoverished, and keep them unelected so he could become an ambassador. So he was all in this together. Don't try to sanitize him. He will not be sanitized as long as I'm alive.
Well, I'll take it from you. But he did a job for the government to stop the Hayat from being built. And then when the government changed the law, which says that
Kimar, you're muted.
He seemed to drop.
You're muted. Kimar, you're muted. Okay, something seemed to have gone wrong there.
I'm back.
Okay, yes, go ahead, Kimar. And then Miss McLean is going to come in.
Yes, right. As I was saying, right, so the legislation which spoke to the environmental impact assessment, which obviously you have to go around the community, talk to the residents, ensure that it's environmental friendly, ensure that the sea will not come and reclaim the land, whatever. The law said that you had to get one. It was legally required to get one. And Commission fought the last government on the basis of getting one, right? And then when the government changed the law to say no, that the minister may require one, right? So they changed the law to sidestep the rule and still can't get the properties up. So what is happening in Joe's River, Marcia? It is really no different because the Minister of Planning and Development, which is essentially the Prime Minister, who has a secretary, Mr. Duguay, because he's really the secretary of the ministry. All of these decisions, which would have gone to the chief town planner, is now going to the Prime Minister through the board that she would have appointed as she abolished that old office and established the board to then appoint those people, right? So that is where we need to put our focus, and we really need to support the people in Joe's River, support the people in Bridgetown whose properties are under threat, and to support all of the persons who have land in these vital, valuable areas that the government want to put up for sale and put the focus in that office, the Ministry of Planning and Development. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kimar. And for those of you who have just joined us, because we're almost at 1400 now, this is an update on Joe's River. We're asking people to share. This is so vital. People, I had to reach for my belt. Mr. Franklin, I had to go get the belt. Where am I? I've got Kimar, I had to go and get the belt. This is what is needed, Barbados. This right now. And I know we've come to associate Mr. Thorne with the belt, but everybody in Barbados needs to have this right now. right now. Lashes time. Lashes time for them. Let me just read. Let me read. Before Miss McLean, I think she should be ready. Let her just making sure she's ready. I'm gonna read a portion of a letter, an article by Penelope Hynum, who is the former executive director of the Barbados National Trust. Okay, and this was in the newspaper. Today's Sunday. It could have been on Friday or Thursday's newspaper. Hynum says, "Don't sell birthright. Barbadians have been warned against selling their birthrights as the country pursues more tourism development." Former executive director of Barbados National Trust, Penelope Hynum, gave that caution as she spoke out against the Miamization of the country. So much of our built landscape is disappearing. For example, the waterfront. We're going to lose all those historic buildings to new buildings, so we have to be careful that we remember our history, she told the nation at Tiralcott House and Chattel House Village in St. Michael, where the trust ended its 2024 open house season on Wednesday. Hynum used London, England, and Baltimore in Maryland, United States, as examples of international cities that have found a balance between historical preservation and erecting modern buildings. It has been done all over the world, she says. Go and visit London, Italy, or Baltimore. Go and visit Toronto. In the Distillery District, 1800s buildings have been turned into wonderful coffee shops. We don't have to invent it. We can just go and observe how it's been done. But we sell our birthright in this country. Our birthright is very valuable, and we must not forget it. We are losing it, and I call it the Miamization of Barbados. In a little while, we are not going to have any windows to the sea left, she said. Hynum, who was also project director at the George Washington House Museum and project coordinator for the open house season, said that was why the work of the trust was so important. The Barbados National Trust has a mandate to preserve the built and the natural heritage of this island. We've restored Welshman Har Gully, Morgan Lewis Mill, Gun Hill Signal Station, Wildy House, Tiralcott Heritage Village, and Arlington House. All of these sites have been owned and run by the National Trust since the 70s. The trust is critically important to our cultural heritage, and we hope it can continue to do so because we are losing so many of our built houses now, she added. She said support for their open house season was critical because it was their major fundraiser. And it goes on, and goes on. Listen, people, here is the former executive director of the Barbados National Trust echoing every single thing that we're saying here tonight. And you're still going to say that we are on here because we don't like a certain political party. You're going to still say that we're on here because we're political. What about what I've read a while ago is political? This is the former executive director of the National Trust, who, when I called to come on, she said, "Marcy, I'm really tired. I've been talking and nobody's listening." Let's hear from Miss McLean. Let me add her to the stage. Good evening, Miss McLean.
Hi, good evening.
How are
How
you
are you?
doing? How are you
I
doing?
am.
Daughter of the soil. That's what I call you, a woman
Thank you
of
very
grace
much. I
and
am
power.
late because I took some time to do something for myself and relax. I was able to go to Codrington College to uplift. I'll talk about that sometime when we talk about the orange economy, you know. But I really, I'm flabbergasted. Let me put it that way. I'm looking at the headline of today's Sunday Sun, and it says 23.64 million over. Auditor General finds cost overruns in China steel houses project. Now, I recall us discussing this and expressing concern about the original price. And because of the time and because I am just getting back home, and I needed to pull up my original notes. I want to put some questions on the table, and I'll come back to this because this is extremely serious. My recollection is that this cost overrun, based on my recollection of the original project, sounds almost like 100%. If I'm wrong, I will correct that. But it was
almost, Maxine, you're correct, almost 100%.
Almost 100%.
29 million.
Thank you very much.
And the crossover run is 23, almost 100%.
Precisely. And so you have, I mean, that's not an overrun. That is overkill. That's ridiculous. It's steel in there. You know, these are steel houses. Now, I really am concerned because there are two things. The emergency that these houses were seeking to address occurred in July 2021, more than 2.5 years ago, right? We almost back to July, which would make it 3 years. And the argument was they could not go and replace these houses using local artisans. They could, and so they were going to get these houses. Now we went through and this showed all the ridiculous arguments, and we looked at the nonsensical arguments because we were coming out of COVID, where shipping logistics have been turned on their head and all of these things. So I'm not going to go through that, but I'm going to ask some questions. Now, in the article, and I'm going to go and dissect the special report. The Ministry of Housing, according to this article, says, the Ministry of Housing, Lands and Maintenance has, however, countered the Auditor General, has not given due consideration to a number of realities that demanded an urgent response within the context of the circumstances. And they talked about 2,000 and something properties being damaged. I made a note of it somewhere here. So my question is, we're talking about steel houses. We're not talking about other kinds of repairs, because they're talking 150 steel houses, which were supposed to cost 29 million in the first place. Now, and the first question I asked, of the number of, they gave the number of houses damaged and destroyed. How many needed to be fully replaced? What were the values of those houses before the damage was or destruction? How many of these 150 prefab steel houses were intended to replace some of those damaged houses? The other question I would ask, what kind of houses were they? Were they largely wooden houses? Because at the end, and I asked that because when I look at a calculation which somebody shared with me, and I will use it, but I would say that you can actually do the calculation, because if they're talking about 29 million for these steel houses, and the Auditor General speaks to these houses, another 23.64, add the two together and divide by 150, and you would see what the cost is supposed to be. And compare that with the value of the houses before they were damaged, and ask yourself, what exactly were they doing? Because at the end of the day, we talk about 150, but the report mentions, as of February 2024, the timeline for completion of the project was significantly exceeded. In addition, based on the information provided by the Ministry of Housing dated 26th of October, only 22 houses were completed. So this notion of emergency went through the window. And my question really and truly, who introduced this to Barbados? Who introduced this to the minister? Another question I will put on the table, because as I said, Marcy and company and viewers, I don't have the time to dissect them, but I'm putting them there because I'll come back to them.
We will bring this up to, tomorrow. So we would just...
Yes, I will come back to them tomorrow.
And then we go back to Joe's River.
Is there an intermediary or set of intermediaries involved? In other words, did the Ministry of Housing go directly to some supplier in China, or did they go through some businessman or businesswoman or company in Barbados and elsewhere to get these houses here? Because you see, I ask that because I can see how layering of expenses are there and all kinds of craziness. Somebody said something to me recently, and you know, the more I think about it, the person, we were discussing projects, and I was expressing concern about the number of finished projects, or unfinished projects rather, because we were looking at both. And the person said, she said, you know, I hate to say this, but it looks like the objective is not to finish projects, but to put money in people's pockets. Because I cannot understand for the life of me how you can come and tell me that, you know, other things are considered. Break down the figure and say to the auditor general, I'm going to go read the report and we'll come back to it tomorrow, as I said. Break down the figure and let me know of the 2,000 and something houses that were damaged or destroyed. How many of those houses people had insurance and fixed their own houses? Because you may have an inventory of houses damaged, but are you saying to me that the government undertook to repair all of those? And if that is the case, 150 prefab steel houses are only a small percentage. So there are a lot of critical questions. Break it down and tell us how much money was spent on other kind of repairs. What's the nature of how many people had insurance and therefore did not need to get government assistance, either 100% or partially. You know, this kind of response, I believe clearly, and I'll say this and stop. This government did not anticipate that they would have come under official scrutiny. I say official scrutiny because we have been out there on this show and elsewhere raising questions and making comments in the public domain. But this is a time that we have really had a chance, because there is, and I say it the first time because I'm looking within the context of the Auditor General and by extension the Public Accounts Committee, which I hope will get to look at some of these and other things. This is the first time that this has happened, because remember when Bishop Atherley was leader of the opposition, for the work that he did with the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee, he examined not this administration's projects, but projects that had been on the previous administration and that was under scrutiny. He continued that. So as far as I'm concerned, these guys, the Prime Minister and company, in fact, let me not say these guys, the government, because I'm talking about a government. So I will not disrespect them and say the government, the cabinet in particular, did not anticipate that they will come under this kind of scrutiny. And we have seen a lot of very lax, badly managed projects, wastage of government resources. Marcia, you need more than a belt. You need something else. That strap is
pack stick
at this point.
A pack stick.
You know, it is worrisome, because we are looking at a situation where millions of dollars are wasted and we are adding them up. And this is one, you know how many houses this could have built? Now put this alongside what we've been talking about with Hope Inc. and the $60 million that has been taken from the, remind me of the name, Kaz, I keep forgetting every time. The
HCF, housing.
The Housing Credit Fund. The Housing Credit Fund. And you look at that and you ask yourself, what are these people thinking? You know, it really worries me, Marcia, but I promise you that in the next 24 hours, I will scrutinize this some more and I will try to answer some of those questions and lay them out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We want to, tomorrow, so you got to tune in tomorrow, because we're going to delve some more into that tomorrow. Ms. McLean had brought some pictures and showed us all the, you know, a lot of material that was bought, that grass was growing in between, laying down here in St. Philip. I don't know if they hurry up and move them, but
I heard so.
Huh?
I heard that they were moved. I think it was the night of the reply of the leader of the opposition.
The night of the reply of the leader of the
budget, I think. Somebody sent me a note and said that between 11 something that night, and I can go back and check my messages, and about 5 in the morning, some entity or entities or persons were busy trying to move some of those that we signed.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow. So listen, make sure you tune in. We're going to get into that tomorrow. But tonight, we are going to continue on Joe's River, because we know that on Sunday there are several things, several to-dos, Mr. Franklin, that's coming out of this show tonight. There's several to-dos. One is for us to write our letters of protest, or our letters of disgust, however you say it. Okay, write letters of protest, write letters of disgust, and we have the email address. Contact the Hike Master Holder Matthew05@gmail.com. Nothing political about this. We're just disgusted about this whole Joe's River thing, and we want that wellness for ourselves. We the Barbadians want to be part of that wellness, getting that nice cool breeze and hearing the water rustle, against the trees, and all the wind against the trees and the water coming down the rocks. We want to hear that. We want that contentment. We want that mental health. We want all of that too. And if you want that, you're going to write Holder Matthew05 Gmail, send him an email and register your protest and your disgust about what is happening at Joe's River. In addition to that, we are going to assemble in Bathsheba next week, Sunday. Okay? We are going to assemble in Bathsheba, and listen to this show. You're going to get more details, because we have to get
Marcia.
Yes, somebody speaking?
Yeah, we intend to assemble on the pasture at St. Elizabeth Primary School.
Yes,
that's the intention.
Let me let you take it away. Take it away and tell them all about it, sir.
Right. So the plan is, because this is the whole concept, that we will apply to the Barbados Police Service for permission, and given the route, the recommended route is that we all meet on the pasture at St. Elizabeth Primary School. We're going to leave there. We'll travel by Joe's River. We're coming down through the Joe's River area. We're coming down to the bottom of Gagsel. We're going to go up Gagsel, travel through St. Elizabeth Village. We're coming on down to Beachmont. We're coming into Bathsheba. We're going up Cleaver Hill. We're coming through Phillips Road area. We're coming on to Hiswick, and we're coming down to Hiswick onto the bottom, and then we will have our cookout planned by Marcia Weeks.
Planned by me. Oh my goodness. And all the people in St. Joseph and all of our panelists, we're going to be down there. I know Heather can't be there. Heather is in New York. She would love to be there. But we're going to be there. In addition to that, guys, I believe there needs to be a press conference about this, and we can discuss that afterwards. There's something else that needs to happen. And somebody made a suggestion about, I can't remember who it is, made a suggestion, but it was made on this program, to flood the call-in programs. Flood the call-in program with this here about Joe's River. You understand? When Tuesday morning comes, everybody get ready. You understand? This is our birthright. And as we deal with Joe's River, we're going to deal with everything. Yes, Sam, go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah. Along with the letters of protests and disgust, anyone having that experience of going through there can also write about that experience, right? Because it's also important that people, share their experience and what they would like to continue to see happen, not just for locals, but for visitors, born and unborn.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Matthew. And that is Matthew Holder, who is one of the hike masters who take people through Joe's River, and he is that's a hike that we go on. We make sure that we're there whenever he has a hike. We try our best to be there once I'm in the island, and it's a lot of fun, lots of good exercise. Yes.
One is
yes,
coming
someone
up
else
on
is saying, oh, that's me there hiking.
too,
Yeah, someone is saying something.
No, it's saying that a hike and cookout is coming up on for the Heroes Day holiday, the Monday, that holiday.
Yes,
We're
we
gonna
are
have
going to promote that, and
there'll
by
be
grace
a
of God, I'll be
hike
there.
and cookout.
I could forego the hike, but the cookout thing, I will there wait until you come.
No, it's a requirement. The only way you eat, you have to hike. You know they say, they say if you don't work, you should eat.
No, but I be watching the pot till you come.
Oh Lord, oh
Oh,
God,
man.
no, no
Well,
man. Listen, you all
I will
are.
make you. I will make you honorary guest. You come and watch the pot.
Listen, Caswell, if we on a serious note here. Listen, don't tell me I take on the strap for you, you know. Listen, Caswell, oh, we love you, Mr. Franklin. But on a serious note, you have to get back serious now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I forget even what I'm saying. Sure. All right. So we're closing, and it's 2 minutes to 10. And as we usually do, we're going to give everybody just a minute, 1 minute, to say your final words on Joe's River. So that's what we want to just give our final comment on Joe's River and how important it is that we do not allow ourselves to be like Jamaica, where we're now working after it's already done. We're now protesting after they've taken all the beaches and all the public spaces, and you have to pay to get into them. Right? We don't want that to happen to us. Absolutely not. In fact, I forgot there is a video from Anthony Carter and Gabby, and we want to play that now. Can we play that now, Dave?
This is
Thank you.
nonsense. This is ridiculous. This
Let's
is sacrilegious.
Cultural ambassador and social activist, the Most Honorable Anthony Gabby Carter, referring to a wall being constructed as part of the Tembe construction project by Earls Water Limited.
Town and country planning have made a monumental mistake in permitting these so-called developers to come here and build a ridiculous wall. This is terrible. And this man is allowed, given permission to build this atrocity, this barrier. And not only that, to build a cottage down here and try to stop the good people of St. Joseph from having access not only to the teacup and saucer, but also to Joe's River itself. It is unfair, it is wrong, it is an injustice.
He says Barbadians must always have access to the country's rivers and beaches. CBC understands some St. Joseph residents are so upset they are in the process of filing an application for an injunction to stop the construction of the wall. One resident, Stephen Gemma, says he wants the Town and Country Development Planning Office to reconsider its decision to approve this construction.
In the past, there were certain restrictions in terms of development along Riverside. One, along the beach side, there was a 100-foot water mark in which you could not do any development within 100 feet of the high water mark. That seemed to have gone through the window. One. Two, there's a setback, what you call an easement, from the center line of the river. That too has gone out through the window.
Richard Haynes, CEO of South Central Marketing, which represents Earls Water Limited, was on hand to hear the residents' concerns. He spoke on behalf of the developers.
They have heard the local community. They are dedicated to the local community. They actually were responsible for fixing the railway trace when it was damaged several years ago. They were heavily involved in the construction of the George River Bridge, which obviously is a major attraction down here for locals. And they've heard the people's concerns. They've currently stopped the construction of the actual gates on the eastern end of the property, and they are going to sit down and they basically want to consult with the local community to make sure that when this project comes off, is erected, that everybody is done in harmony with the local community, everybody's happy.
Nevertheless, in addition to the legal action, the community is organizing a protest for next week. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Yes, so there you have it. Let's hear from everybody who's here, and just to give their final thought. Heather, give your final thoughts on this. What do you want to say to Barbados about what is happening?
First of all, this is not development, so do not be confused, right? And if after a year, the developers can still not put forward a proposal that is suitable for Barbadians, it tells us that they have no intentions of doing one that would favor access to the river. So, and to me, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what is happening in St. Joseph. There are quite a few other things that are going on as well, but we will explore them as we go on.
Yes, thank you, Heather, and I want to thank you for being the person who brought this issue to the Marcia Week Show as one of our panelists. Thank you so very, very much for doing so. Mr. Newton, would you mind, sir, to give us your final comments in a minute?
I certainly will give my closing comments. What is happening in Joes River, I liken it to a crime against humanity. And I am not in any doubt now that our government is a part of a colonial crime syndicate committing crimes against innocent Barbadians. And I would say civil disobedience is a call to every citizen to value his conscience above his government. Government of any sort, including democracy, does not possess any more wisdom or justice than its individual citizens. That it is every citizen's responsibility to avoid acquiescence. Civil disobedience is a call for all citizens to refuse to participate in or encourage in any way an unjust institution. Barbadians, it is time to rise up and fight.
Thank you, Mr. Newton. And Miss McLean, is there anything that you want to say to the Barbadian people about this injustice that is seemingly to be done at this moment?
Yes. I want people to appreciate that these things form part of what we call our patrimony. This is our heritage, our culture. I grew up in a Barbados where I would have witnessed for decades what we call foreign investment and so on. But there was always due consideration to the interests and the needs of Barbadians. The whole notion of access to the beach, public access to the beach in a proper way, has always been important. Notions of, because essentially what you're doing by doing this, you're excluding nationals. We are not supposed to be bystanders in our country. And I really anticipate that if this kind of development continues, it's going to create a very negative relationship between those foreign owners and the citizens of this country. And I would say the last thing is, I'm not sure, I saw the clip that you showed with Mr. Haynes and so on, who represents the property owner or the company or whatever it is. And I would love to hear from him now, because that was some months ago. I remember seeing it, don't know how long. But what is the situation now? Because he made certain promises on behalf of the owners. But it looks as though it is okay. And I am watching these things because we're talking about Joes River. And I go to the beach, as you know, 5 or 6 days a week in the week. And I am watching a development. People have been saying that they're soon going to close off the road. I haven't seen any signs of that. I will have to go and look. But if we're looking at trends, it seems as though our interest and our welfare is being put on the back burner or the or outside of the whole thing, and it does not make for good relations between the nationals and others, or even if they're locally owned, between developers of certain kinds of development and the people who traditionally have had access in several ways, and that has to be maintained
Yes.
if we
Thank
are
you.
to be true citizens benefiting from this country.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you, Miss McLean. And you're going to hear more from Miss McLean tomorrow night on some of these other issues. Um, and Mr. Uh, Kimar Stewart.
Yes. My final comment here is that, and Jabi agreed with me, that the town and country planning, well, is no longer named called that. It's now called the Ministry of Planning and Development. So the Ministry of Planning and Development, which is in the Prime Minister's office, which simply means that the Prime Minister is the person responsible for these type of decisions. We need some answers, not only answers, but we need some action. So we want, and according to the guests on the show, listen to what they're saying. They're the residents. They're the one who have skin in the game. They're the original owners, the original investors. And you cannot rob people out of their properties as a custom and still expect people to have confidence in Barbados, that Barbados belongs to them. For too long, we continue to treat our people as third-rate citizens, not even second, but third-rate, where we take their most valuable jewels from them, sell them off, and then we Barbadians then have to pay to use what belongs to us. Well, people get tax write-offs and tax breaks and every other thing, but we are the ones who have to pay, and we continue to lose our most prized possession. So thank you.
Thank you, Kimar. Let me go to Hike Master Matthew Holder. What do you want to say to the people of Barbados on this issue that means so much to you, sir?
Well, I would want to say what I said already and what so many others have been saying, that we need access. We need access to the river, to the river basin, to the environs, and in a safe space. You're not given, or we're not accepting the space that you're given where you're being pushed off to the side where you can fall and hurt yourself and that kind of stuff, just to say that I give you permission or I give you access to what you want. So I think that it is a worthwhile and worthy fight. Like I said, I've never been into a lot of fights. I never started them. I didn't start this one, but I'm certainly joining this fight to see that what belongs to Barbadians, they have full and free access to it, whether Barbadian or visitor.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you. And that's Mr. Matthew Holder, and you can email him your letters, whether your letters of disgust or protest, and also if you, like myself, would have done a hike or been to Joe's River and you've enjoyed the surrounding, let's write about that as well and send your emails. It could just be a paragraph, but that's important as well. So please write to holdermatthew05@gmail.com. And to Mr. Victor Lewis, sir, I tell you, you deserved. I know you said you got a medal for for rescuing that couple that almost drowned at the area that the developer is sending us to to use to get to the river. But you deserve a medal too for what you're doing right now. Mr. Can you give us your final words, Mr. Lewis?
Well, I would want to encourage everyone to identify with the therapeutic value of Joe's River, Gully, and Teacup and Saucer. And let us appreciate that we will continue to have free and safe access 24/7. And it is our intention, under any pressure, psychological or otherwise, that we are prepared to die on our feet and not our knees.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for your foresight, your insight, and we are supporting you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. General, give us the final word here tonight, sir.
I am sorry, Marcia. This is not my final word. This is my interim word because I'm coming back. I might be final tonight. You know, my experience with basketball in that area is much different. It wasn't the therapeutic value for me as such. It was I was a young man courting, and I would take the young ladies there and show them the sights, you know, that kind of thing, and that would help my cause. I must admit, I would take them all down to Codgerton College and Canterbury Ducks, you know the whole thing. So in fact, but the first time I ever took no college, and called it a ramble. I didn't know how they were going, but I was trying to get there. I did though, and you know. But seriously, Barbados is for Barbadians first. We must never be second-class citizens in our country, and we cannot bring people to this country and make them more entitled than us. We will share what we have with others, but we will not let them take it away from us. And that is what should guide us. This is ours. We are Barbadians, either born or registered or nationalized. We are Barbadians. And if you want to come here, you got to come here under our conditions. And you can't come and displace us. And I would welcome any development that is friendly to Barbados and the Barbadians. People who live in the area must not be outsiders. You know, in the old days, when they started with the West Coast, you know, they used to tell the young boys from up in St. Thomas, don't go down there, they will do something to you. And my Maxine's money, so she know what we're talking about. I had all, you see, the fellas laughing. Marsha will tell you later. But that ain't working now. And as a matter of fact, I was a little boy, and it was just like, you don't get on there, boy, you know what happened. So they always found some way to get rid of us. No, they want to get rid of us by making it dangerous for us to traverse the areas that people have traversed, that I use as my courtship area, and all kind of stuff. I don't court now, but I can still reminisce. But we must never lose those, because I would want my children and grandchildren to have the same, even if they don't have the same guile that I use, but I would like them to have the opportunity, not to hear about it from me only. I will join you in your fight. I will be there. As a matter of fact, I live at Castle Grant, so close enough to Bathsheba to make me a Josephine. I spent a few years there, so I feel like I'm at home. You know, when I go down the road, the guys, the youngsters still see me from down the road from Castle Grant. They would still see me and shop me. But I saw one fella, he's selling fruit, and he said, "But you remember me?" I say, "Yeah," and I can't tell you what he should do to them. But I feel that I must be part of this fight, and I will join you, because it is a worthy cause. Because let me tell you something. If I don't come out and defend you and help you, when my turn comes, there ain't got nobody there to help me. And my turn will come. Remember, when I came for the trade unionists, I was not a trade unionist, so I didn't join. Remember that little poem from the Martin Niemöller? We have to stand up for each other all the time. And the thing is, it hurts me that we have to stand up against a Barbadian government. against a Barbadian government against us. They should be looking out for our best interests. And I don't care who don't want to be political. I am political. And I'm not party political, but I mean that I want the best government for this country. And right now, they are not the best. They are coming close.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Franklin. Thanks to everyone who's joined. We had over 1,400 people on tonight. We're going to ask you, even as you're leaving the show tonight, to share it. This is so important to us. We do not want to be forced inland, and we can definitely see from all the presentations tonight that it seems as though that is what is happening. This is our birthright. This is ours. Okay, and so this is very, very important to us. Let us at this time, as I said, share and let somebody know what you learned tonight. And we're going to be back on again 7 o'clock tomorrow. Don't forget all the initiatives. Send your email to the email address that is on the screen. And remember, we're seeking the permission to do that motorcade. So get in your carpool, and get down there. So we're going to tell you exactly where you need to go, and in Bathsheba. And let's do the motorcade and listen up for all the other initiatives that we're gonna have. Calling to the calling programs. Very, very important. We keep this issue on the burner. Okay, God bless you. Thank you all very much. Thanks to everyone who joined, and these wonderful stalwarts here in St. Joseph that's carrying on this torch and making sure this light keeps burning. God bless you all. Have a good night.
That mass nor English. Pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. Just pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
All right. Good night.